in the graduate college and also a doctoral student with literacy, languages, and cultures in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction. And Jeremis is a graduate assistant and doctoral student in pharmaceutical sciences. So I'm going to turn it over to them for the introduction exercises today.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Jeremis will be going first for their mindful exercise.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeremis, and I am really glad and excited to be here today. I want to start with a mindfulness exercise. So as we start the orientation, let's gather our thoughts and be mindful to help us focus in and receive the information to be successful graduate students in our graduate careers. So I would like to first define the key characteristics of mindfulness. So mindfulness, it generally describes a state of awareness and a set of practices and skills which they center around 4 key qualities, which are here in this infographic. So attention, presence, intention, and openness. And these qualities and these traits, I would like you to take them with you throughout today's orientation and your graduate career. So I just want to explain a little bit more about these traits and what they mean. So attention, it's what you think it is. It's listening and watching and considering what naturally exists. So directing and sustaining attention at a specific selected object, such as a chime or a sound or one's breathing, for example. Intention is purposefully increasing awareness of a certain experience. And then presence is being in the moment, being in the here and the now. And openness, we look at that as being curious, being objective and non-judgmental about an experience. So that way you can fully experience that experience. So these qualities and traits, they will not only help you in an academic setting with things like improvements in cognitive performance, school self-concept and engagement, greater attention to detail, but it will also help you with reduction of anxiety and mental and behavioral health areas, for example, such as decreasing stress levels. So all of that to say, it's really important to practice mindfulness. It's really important to center yourself and be able to focus on the things at hand and really experience those to the fullest. So I'd like to open the next part of orientation with a mindfulness exercise that you can utilize regularly to help you throughout your journeys. So I would like you to take a few deep breaths and to close your eyes. Now, as you're taking these deep breaths, focus on the sensation of your breath and feel the air entering your nose and feel it entering your lungs. Listen to the sound of your breath as it comes in and out. With each breath, feel yourself becoming more relaxed and present in the moment. Now, begin to introduce positive affirmations into your mindfulness exercise, into your meditation. And repeat each one multiple times and feel these messages sinking deeper into your subconscious. So things like, I am capable and confident. I am worthy of success. I am unstoppable force of positive energy. All of my problems have solutions. My best is enough. I create my own reality with every thought and action. I am ready to take on the day with enthusiasm and joy. So allow yourself to imagine the possibilities of what life could look like when you fully embody these affirmations. As you slowly come out of your meditation and deep breathing, just take a few moments to savor the feelings of peace and positivity that you have cultivated. Open your eyes and move forward into your day with newfound clarity and motivation. All right.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. I even feel more at peace right now. I really needed that deep breath. Thank you for guiding us in our beginning today. We're going to turn it over to Jody Aguilar.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to continue our welcoming opening session through a Padlet. I will be going ahead and adding the link for everyone to join below in the chat. I will also share my screen, but I'll give you a few seconds to scan the QR code if you'd like to do this from your own personal device. And the link is in the chat below. So I'll give you a few seconds. Teresa, do you mind if I share my screen? Okay. Sorry, one second. Okay, we're getting a lot of responses. Excited to start their program. Yes, feel free to add pictures, memes, anything else. I'm loving the Snoopy meme. Let's rock and roll. Every time we do this, there's at least one SpongeBob meme, so I'm excited that we're keeping the tradition going. Awesome. Wow, they're going so fast, I can't even read. Oh, people are excited to be in Chicago. Yes. At one point, we'll be able to share some recommendations for those that are new in Chicago. I also moved from Los Angeles to Chicago, so those recommendations were very helpful. Someone is starting a program in LALS. That is wonderful. One of my advisors is also in that program.
I'm seeing some nervous people too, and that's totally normal, y'all. Like, we're gonna talk about that, right? A lot of people are it's kind of scary. Someone mentioned like, oh my gosh, I have so much already ready to go. Like I need to work on my time management already, right? So that kind of like excitement is also connected to maybe being unsure or nervous, and that's totally normal. A lot of folks are saying that, right? To know you're not alone in that. Oh my gosh, these memes right now. Jeremy, did you see any other ones you wanted to comment on?
I saw one about making friends. Yeah, I was nervous at first when I first came to the school, but everyone is really friendly and just caring. It's going to be easy for you, trust me.
And we're going to promote it. You're going to see at the end that you can take a snap if you haven't already on the info, but we have a picnic next week, which is a great opportunity for folks to make friends on the 29th from 11:30 to 1:30 on the UH lawn. So we'll promote that later, but for those looking to make friends, that's going to be a good opportunity. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jaramis and Jody, for those incredible welcoming exercises. You all can see the chat, so it's kind of fun. You can go in and look later like, oh, like they kind of said what I'm saying, right? So that's fantastic. So thank you both for that those amazing exercises. I'm going to go ahead and share again. 1 second. All right. Really quickly, I want to go over a few things before we get started, before we welcome our amazing dean. I want to do a quick land acknowledgement. Maybe we are sitting in our houses, but in our campus, University of Illinois Chicago inhabits the original homelands of the Three Fires Confederacy, Potawatomi, Odawa, and Ojibwe nations, and other tribal nations, Menominee, Ho-Chunk. We acknowledge and honor the original peoples in the Chicagoland area and many Indigenous peoples who call it home, past, present, and future. And just for us to take a moment to think about the land that our university occupies and to continue to celebrate the space and to honor the space that we're in. Here's the link for the agenda today. If you want to see, what's coming ahead, we don't have any breaks built in, but you take a break when you need it. That's okay, right? We're here. We'll be here. You can keep it out in the background. So that's kind of the nice thing about the Zoom orientation. You can thank the Democratic National Convention for us having a Zoom orientation this year. We wanted to make sure we still had it, but we moved it to an online mode. So some logistics for the webinar today. Presentations will be live, right? And so you will be able to ask questions in the chat that we'll be able to respond to, but we will have things recorded. There's also some student resources that will be uploaded on the orientation page of the Graduate College website in the coming weeks that you will also have access to. This is a webinar, so as you probably already figured out, we can't see you, but we can see you in the chat, so make sure to use that. And the advantage is that webinar, the webinar is flexible. You can step out if you need to. You should be able to see the chat box in your screen, and that enables you to ask questions. And just note that sometimes throughout the presentation, we're going to get a lot of questions. So we might not get to them all, but we're going to try our best. We have an incredible graduate college staff that's on the call today that will be helping answer a lot of those questions. And if not, we have contact information that you can reach out to us if we don't get to the questions that you have. Okay. All right. I would like to introduce the Dean of the Graduate College. Really quickly. Dean David Eddington received his BS degree in Materials Science and Engineering from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and his MS and PhD degree in Biomedical Engineering from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He did a postdoc at MIT. He joined UIC as an assistant professor in 2006, where he has been ever since. And he served as the director of graduate studies for biomedical engineering for 10 years and has been involved in improving graduate education at UIC at many levels. He currently serves as the Dean of the Graduate College, professor in the Department of Biomedical Engineering, and we're very excited for the new year beginning with Dr. Eddington, who joined us this summer as the Dean of the Graduate College. So I'm going to turn it over to him for his welcome.
Okay, thanks, Teresa, for that nice introduction. Yeah, it's very exciting to be here. It's my first orientation. And it's exciting to help you all kind of get started in your graduate education. Yesterday, I just got back dropping my daughter off at college, 12 hours away. And so I know the mixture of feelings everyone's having, are similar to, I'm sure, what she's having. Will I make friends? Will I find my people here? Will I do okay in these programs? And some of you are local, some of you are within the country, but many of you are from 12-hour or more plane rides away, and so that feeling is magnified tenfold. And so I just want to assure everyone that you will find your people, you will be successful, and you'll have a great graduate education, and it's an exciting time of your lives. Okay, so that was just my impromptu go-to. I've got like some numbered list things I want to talk about. So welcome to this exciting phase of your journey. In the US, only 14% of the population has master's degrees and only 2% has PhD degrees. And so while that doesn't mean you will be better than 86 or 98% of the population when you're done, but you will definitely be more curious and more interested in seeking the truth by the time you finish. And so, that carries a lot of responsibility, knowing all these interesting things and conveying that for the broader good of humanity. And that's a lot of the reason that I'm sure many of you are seeking your advanced degrees. And so just very generally, the master's degree can be summarized by pushing to the boundary of human knowledge. So in a given discipline, like what is the cutting edge? What is the absolute kind of edge of what we know and understand? And the PhD does all that and then pushes that boundary out further. And so expanding human knowledge, that's a very exciting and thrilling thing to be a part of. But it comes with it's not easy to do, right? And so there will be challenges. And there'll be times when it seems insurmountable, but know that with grit and determination, you can and will get through. You all are qualified to be here. You all were accepted into these various degree programs, and you all will and can succeed in these programs. And so know about these campus resources, the resources in your college, in your department. Use the director of grad studies, who in each of your degree programs is there as a resource to help you through difficult times. Sorry, I should have silenced my phone. And so, yeah, so use your DGS, talk to other students, and know that you're not alone in this journey. So when things get tricky, don't feel like you have no opportunities. And so a lot of what we're showing you today is kind of to share these resources, but know that we're here to help and support you throughout your educational journey. And finally, I wish you the best of luck this semester with your coursework, your research, your scholarship. Good luck, have a great semester, and I look forward to hearing and seeing about all you do. So that's all I have. Teresa.
Thank you, Dean Eddington, for that lovely welcome and that encouragement. I know that is an important thing to have as we're kind of going into the semester. So thank you very much. All right, next we have a welcome from our Graduate Student Council President, Aditi Doshi, who is going to be welcoming you all on behalf of the Graduate Student Council. Is Aditi here? Okay, Sydney, do you want to do a welcome?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I
Later, we'll
can
just
do a
tag
little
team.
welcome. Yeah, she's in another meeting and she said it's running a little late, so she'll hop on in just a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm Sydney. I am the secretary of the Graduate Student Council, and yeah, welcome to UIC. If you don't know what the Graduate Student Council is, we are a body of graduate students. It's kind of like a traditional student council. We're here to kind of bridge the gap between students and the graduate college. So we work very closely with Teresa, Dean Eddington, and yeah, we try to provide events for you all, and yeah, just kind of be there if you need anything. We also, one of our main things that we do is we provide project and travel awards, conference awards for you. So if your department has an active representative, then you're able to be eligible for those awards, which is really great. So if your department does not have a representative, you can serve in that position. Yeah, if you're interested in doing that, what you'll need to do is just contact the head of your department. And from there, you can kind of ask if the position is available. If it is, then you can join our organization. I know Aditi will probably go into a little bit more information when she logs on, which she said will be in just a few minutes. But yeah, if you have any questions, I can go ahead and drop our email into the chat, and you can always reach out to us if you have any questions. Yeah, I see some already. Department meeting. So for example, I am in the School of Applied Health Sciences, but I'm in the Department of Kinesiology and Nutrition. So my department has two representatives, a primary and an alternate representative. And one of our representatives will come to a meeting, and then they are in charge of forwarding their department meeting minutes and any announcements from the Graduate Student Council. So you should be in a department for your graduate program. And if your department has a representative, then you would be eligible for awards. So yeah, if you wanted to be a primary or an alternate representative of the Graduate Student Council for your department, you would need to ask if one of those positions is available. But you could also join what we have is the executive committee. So that's kind of a secondary committee that we have, where you are helping plan events and you're kind of helping out a little bit more. You have more of a important role within the Graduate Student Council and voting. And those meetings are held after our monthly Graduate Student Council meetings. And like I said, Aditi will probably go into a little bit more information about that. I think she has some slides that she's going to share.
Thanks so
And
much.
I will add our email.
I wonder really quickly, because what I've seen over these years is some of our most impressive student leaders have come out of Graduate Student Council. So not only does it help support the department to get travel awards, but also really helps in your own leadership development. I'm wondering, as we're kind of waiting for DT, if you could talk really quickly about maybe what's that's done for you or like the student leaders around you. And, you know, I know Aditi might talk about, she won the 3-minute thesis competition last year, right? She was chosen out of all the folks, and we're going to talk about that later, but there is this confidence and leadership that comes out of being part of this council. So yeah, I wondered if you had a comment on that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that being involved in the Graduate Student Council. Oh, are you, Aditi, are you here?
Just a heads up, I'm already here, but just wanted to let you guys know.
Okay, awesome. I'll just do this for a second, then you can take over. Like I said, being in the Graduate Student Council has just promoted, I feel like, my confidence in being a graduate student at such a large university. It makes me kind of feel like I have a say in what is going on, which is nice. And even just being a representative, you gain a lot of information from all different areas of the university, and you just get to learn a lot more about the ins and outs and what's happening, and even what's going on at just higher levels within the university, which is nice. So it's definitely a great thing to be involved with, and you get to meet lots of awesome people. So yeah, now I'm going to let Aditi take over.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I have a bunch of back-to-back meetings today, so I was like, you're just on time. My name is Aditi. I did miss some of what Sydney said, so I'm sorry if I repeat myself. I am going to share some slides, if I can. Okay, perfect. Everyone can see my screen, correct? Okay. So we're just going to go over a little bit about what the Graduate Student Council is and what our mission is. So it is a governing student body. So we're all students who are part of GSC, and we represent a lot of different degree granting programs in the graduate college. And we address the specific needs of graduate students by organizing academic seminars and workshops. We support students with travel and project awards. We try to host social and cultural events so that we can actually unite all the students at the graduate college. And then the most important job that we do is we try our best to represent the UIC graduate student body, not only in your organizations and events, but to be your voice when it comes to discussing big improvements that we want in terms of like policies, or whether there's something graduate students are really lacking and we want to get that message across to more senior members of the graduate college and faculty and staff as well. So those are the 4 main things that we do as the Graduate Student Council. The cool part is these awards, right? These are what a lot of students really want us to do. And we offer 3 kinds of awards. We offer travel awards, conference awards, and project awards. The only caveat here is that we do expect your department to be in good standing with the Graduate Student Council, which just means that your department has a representative. So if you want to apply for these awards, and you want to find out whether your department is eligible or not, you can definitely contact Sydney or me to see whether your department's eligible. If it's not eligible, you can actually become a rep yourself after talking to your department head and represent your department in GSC, or we can figure out what the best way to move forward is in terms of these awards. There's a lot of information about these awards on our website as well. So feel free to check it out. We have a dedicated awards email as well that our treasurer oversees. So if you have any specific questions and it comes down to you like deep if you're eligible or not, we can figure out all of that when you email us as well. And then we have a bunch of upcoming events this year. We have scheduled most of them for fall already. So there's just a couple events on the screen and we can drop them in the chat or send them to Teresa as well if anyone is interested. And then we will be hosting our first event, which is Mat Pilates. We hope to see a lot of the new grads so you can get to know us, we can get to know you. It'll be a lot of fun. And then we do have our welcome back social for graduate students at Vintage Bar on Taylor Street. And that also has free food, which is a very big thing for most graduate students. So I hope to see most of you there. And then, like Sydney said, I did catch that part. You can get involved with GSC through the executive committee as well. So if you do not want to represent your department, but you're really interested in getting involved and helping us organize these events or just being a voice for graduate students, you could email us again and we can get you into the executive committee. The executive committee helps with planning, organizing events. We bounce off ideas of you guys and stuff like that. So if you want any more details, you want to know about the commitment and other like nitty gritties that we can go into, you can email us again and we can get in touch with you. And then, like I said, if you have any questions, you can reach us at the UIC Graduate Student Council email. You can also email Sydney or me on our personal emails. We do check all three very frequently, so we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But that is all I had for now. But I do look forward to meeting all the new graduate students at the student picnic that's happening as well.
Thank you so much, Sydney and Aditi. Also, y'all, they're amazing leaders and amazing people to get to know on this campus. There was an organizational leadership change and they just both took it head on last year and it just showed me how incredible they are. So make sure to get in touch with them. Also, they will be at the picnic, y'all. I'm going to keep talking about this picnic on the 29th on the UH lawn, 11:30 to 1:30. So they will be there in the flesh. If you want to come talk to Aditi and Sydney a little bit more about GSC, they're going to be there. So thank you so much, y'all, and have a great rest of the day. Thanks, Sydney and Aditi. All right. Hopefully y'all can see this. Okay. We're on to the big questions that folks want to know. How am I going to take care of myself while I am a graduate student at UIC? Well, don't worry. Angela, who always has the answers for us, is here from Campus Care. So I'd like to welcome Angela Staley, the Business Administrative Associate of Campus Care and Managed Care. Welcome, Angela. Thanks for being here.
Yes, good morning. All right, let me share my screen here if it will let me. Let's see. All right, is everyone seeing the presentation?
Not yet. Here it is. There it comes.
All right. All right, fantastic. My name is Angela. I am with Campus Care. I'm one of the 3 administrators at the Campus Care office. My pronouns are she, hers. And what I'm going to go over with you today is the insurance program that we offer to students here at UIC. Health insurance is absolutely mandatory. The university requires that every single student who is registered for courses at the university maintain major medical health insurance the entire time you're enrolled. The only way that we can guarantee that every single student has health insurance is to go ahead and automatically enroll you in Campus Care and assess the Campus Care fee on your tuition. You're then given the option to waive Campus Care by showing proof of other insurance by submitting an electronic waiver prior to our deadline date. So the first thing I'll go over is a quick snapshot of how Campus Care works and what that program looks like. And then I'll go over with you how to waive out of Campus Care if you're choosing to use other insurance while you're at the university. A few things to know about us. We are a self-funded student health benefit plan. That means that we are a nonprofit company that is not funded by the state. We are not funded by the university. We are completely self-funded by our student premiums, and we are not part of any other major insurance company like Blue Cross Blue Shield or Cigna or Aetna. We are our own plan. Okay. And we do work in conjunction with the student health service fee to provide comprehensive benefits to all of our students. And we're a completely online program. Everything I'm going over with you, as well as a plethora of other information, can be found on our website. I find the easiest way to find our website is to Google Campus Care. We're about the first 10 websites to show up. All right, so Campus Care works like a traditional HMO plan. And what this means, anytime you have an HMO plan, it means that your non-emergency healthcare always needs to start with your primary care provider. Your primary care provider is going to be UI Health's Department of Family Medicine. They are located on the East Campus. They're at the corner of Maxwell and Halsted. That is their primary location. They do also have a location in Pilsen that you're welcome to use. And then all of your specialty care will be through the University of Illinois Hospital and Health Sciences System, which is UI Health for short. So the first thing you'll need to do for any non-emergency care is make an appointment with family medicine and then obtain an authorized referral to see a specialist who's in network. If you don't first get that authorized referral prior to going to see a specialist, we will not cover that visit. So please don't skip this step. Make sure you always have that authorized referral. Why choose Campus Care over some of the other plans that are available to you? First of all, we have no deductible. We cover our students at 100% from day one. All that you're going to pay outside of the premium that's charged to your tuition is copays. And we work really hard to keep these copays and your premiums as low as possible. We are one of the most affordable student health benefit programs in the Illinois area. We do include a pharmacy benefit. We're not going to exclude for pre-existing conditions, and we do meet minimal essential coverage underneath the Affordable Care Act. Just a quick shout out about that. You're going to be receiving an email coming up this fall letting you know how to consent to get your tax form electronically. Please do that. Otherwise, we have to mail it to you. And when we mail out our 1095B forms, we get literally thousands back as undeliverable. The easiest way for you to get this is to consent to get it electronically, and then it will arrive in your email. Another thing, just make sure your addresses are always up to date in the UIC system, and make sure if you see an email from Campus Care, you take a moment and you read it. Make sure you've done what we're reminding you to do. We're only going to email you when there's something that needs to be done. We know you get tons of emails, but we're going to email you when it's time to waive out of our program again, when it's time to sign up for summer coverage, or when your tax forms are ready. All right, take a moment, read that, do what we're reminding you to do. It could really end up saving you a lot of money while you're at the university. This is a quick snapshot of our benefit summary. As you can see, we cover most things that are 100% minus a copay. Our copays for office visits are $15. Our copays for office visits are the same if it's a specialist or it's your primary care provider. Our copays for inpatient hospital stays are $50 per day. And then outpatient hospital procedures, things like outpatient surgery, lab tests, MRIs, CT scans, things like that are covered at 100% with no copay. And then ER visits are covered at 100% with a $50 copay. And that is for any ER that is in the United States. We do cover with just that $50 copay. There is a much longer benefit summary on our website. And then there's also a certificate of coverage that dives even deeper into everything that we cover if you want to go into that and get more details. These are the addresses for family medicine and for the hospital. This phone number right here, the 312-996-2901 phone number, is the phone number you'll call when you need to make an appointment with family medicine, when you need to get an authorized referral. And it's also the phone number that you can use to contact a provider who is on call 24/7, 365. If it is after hours, or even if it is during hours and you feel like you're really sick, you need to get in to see a provider, you call, they don't have an appointment until next week, ask to speak with the provider who's on call. They will be able to triage and provide you with the care that you need. They might refer you to go to an urgent care. That's fine. If they do that, then we're going to cover that. You'll have a $15 copay. I do urge students, anytime that you're thinking about going to an urgent care, contact family medicine, check in with the provider, make sure that the condition that you're going to urgent care for is appropriate, or maybe they can get you in sooner at family medicine as well if you give them a call. If you're having a true life-threatening emergency, please don't call family medicine and ask to speak to the provider on call. Get to the nearest emergency room and don't worry about that. If it's a true emergency, we're going to cover that regardless of which ER you go to. Okay. We do cover pharmacy benefits. If you walk into one of these two pharmacies, the University Village Pharmacy is right across the hall from family medicine, and then the SCB Pharmacy is in the specialty care building right across the street from the hospital. All you'll pay at one of these two pharmacies is your copay. It's $10 for generic drugs, $20 for brand name, and then anything that isn't listed on our formulary will have a $40 copay. We do have a pretty extensive formulary. A good number of medications are on there, but it's on our website. You can take a look at it and know ahead of time whether or not your medication will fall in that $10 or $20 or the $40 copay. You don't have to go to these pharmacies. If this isn't convenient for you, you can go to any pharmacy of your choosing. Walgreens, Target, local neighborhood pharmacy, CVS, that's fine. The only difference is because we're such a small self-funded student health benefit plan, there is no way for those pharmacies to bill us directly. You will have to pay upfront for the cost of your medication and then submit a claim to us for reimbursement. That process happens through the mail, and it can take about 4 to 6 weeks for you to get that reimbursement back. You'll want to make sure that you're keeping the prescription pamphlet sheet that's normally stapled to the bag. It has the name of your insurance, not your insurance company, I'm sorry, the name of the medication listed on it, and then also the receipt, the original receipt that you used to pay for the prescription so that we know how much you paid. You'll mail that in along with your UIN, and then they'll send a check back to you. Can take about 4 to 6 weeks. So definitely just the fastest, cheapest way for you to get your medication would be to get it at one of these two pharmacies, but know that you're not restricted to these. Just a shout out, we will cover prescriptions if you go to like CVS or Walgreens or Target, but we don't cover at the Minute Clinics or the Ready Clinics. I know sometimes people go there for immunizations. That's not something that we would cover. We just cover the prescription medications there. This is an example of an ID card. We don't mail this out, print this out from our website. We recommend you do it once every academic year. While you're going to UI Health, your Campus Care iCard, or not your Campus Care, but your University iCard will count as your Campus Care ID card. Everyone at UI Health knows who we are. They know how to bill us. We recommend having this on hand just in case you do need to go to an out-of-network emergency room. That way they have all the information they need to bill us directly. We cover one routine eye exam per year, and that's at the Eye and Ear Infirmary right across from the hospital, or at the Millennium Park Eye Center, which is downtown, and that is covered free with no copay. There is an additional fee if you get a contact lens fitting. So if that's one of your plans, make sure you check in with them to find out what the fee is for that. It's usually around $50, but that could have gone up. Make sure you check with the program. Now, to get a discount on glasses and contacts, and then all of your dental services, go through a third-party vision and dental discount program. It's run through a company called United Health Programs, and this isn't insurance, but it does get you a discount on those services when you get them at an in-network provider. Because this is not run by us, It is run by a third-party company. There are a number of nationwide providers that are available. You can go to our website, click on benefits, click on vision and dental, depending on what you need. You'll put in your zip code, and then a list of providers and a general idea of what level of discount they've agreed to will populate. If you have specific questions about this program, you'll need to contact United Health Programs directly. Their 1-800 number is on our website. Because we don't run it, we don't have the most up-to-date information about discounts and providers. Also know that the UI Health, the School of Dentistry is in this program. So if that's where you want to go, they are one of the options for this discount dental program. We're currently in an open enrollment period. We have an open enrollment period every single semester. We always start at least 45 days prior to the first day of the semester, and then we let it go a few weeks into the start of the semester to allow students time to get forms filled out. It is during an open enrollment period that you can waive out of campus care and you can add or remove dependents from your account. Please know that this is the only time that you can waive out of campus care is when we are in an open enrollment period. Okay. In order to waive campus care, you do have to have other ACA compliant health insurance. And then you'll need to go to our website and submit an electronic form prior to the deadline date. The deadline date for fall is September 12th. The deadline date for fall is always September 12th. That's because our waivers are good for one academic year. That's fall, spring, and summer in that order. And every waiver, no matter which semester you submit it, expires at the end of summer and has to be resubmitted by September 12th. This is a hard and fast deadline date. Once September 12th has passed, there is nothing we can do in our office to waive you out. It is out of our hands at that point. So please, if you know that you want to waive campus care because you have other insurance, do that sooner than later. That way it's done before the September 12th deadline date and you don't need to worry about getting that form submitted. Okay. We do allow students to add children and spouses and civil union partners. There are additional fees for that, and we have more information about that on our website, and the process of adding them can be done through our website as well. The way that you would waive campus care is you would go to our website. You would click the link that says waivers, that's underneath the picture of the skyline. Once you do that, you'll be prompted to sign in with your net ID and password for the university. It's the same net ID and password that you use to access your UIC email. And then once you log in, you will see underneath the Make a New Request heading, a link that says Request Waiver for Fall 2024. Also underneath that, you'll see the option to add a dependent for fall 2024. That's where you would go if you want to add dependents. But for most students, this is about waiving out. Once you click that, a form field's going to show up. And we need 4 pieces of information. We need your health insurance company's name. We need the ID number, group number if it applies. If it doesn't, if you don't have a group number, just put none. And then we need the customer service phone number for your health insurance company. And that is going to be either the 1-800, 1-866. It's the number that's usually on the back of your card. The number one reason that I have to deny waivers is because I get the wrong phone number and I can't verify your coverage. So please make sure you're just putting in that customer service phone number for us. Once you click submit, a tracking number is going to show up on the screen and you will get an email to your UIC email address. If you don't see a tracking number and you don't get an email from us to your UIC email address, something went wrong. Most likely the phone number was formatted incorrectly. Our system is picky and it wants it with those dashes in between. Go back in, fix that, click submit. You'll know that you have successfully submitted that waiver once you get that email with that tracking number. Okay, it'll come to our office. We say it takes 3 to 5 business days, usually much quicker than that. By the next business day, we will have your waiver either approved or denied. And as I mentioned, the number one reason we deny waivers is because we get the wrong phone number. We'll also deny a waiver if your insurance is no longer active or if you submit insurance that's not ACA compliant. We always explain why in the email that waiver has been denied, and you have a chance to fix it just as long as you get it done by our deadline date. Now, this is important. This is the only way to waive out of campus care. You can't fax anything. There are no paper forms to fill out. Don't email your insurance information to us. We are remote employees, so there is no office for you to bring it to. And this is also important. We do not accept waivers from any other department. If you had to show anybody else on this campus your insurance information, or you checked on your application that you did not want the university insurance, and someone tells you that that waives you out of campus care, they are mistaken. If you haven't gone to our website, you haven't filled out the waiver, and you haven't gotten that approval email back from us, you're not waived out of campus care. So please make sure you're going to our website and filling out that waiver prior to our deadline date. We're a semester-based program. Fall coverage began on August 16th, and it goes through the end of the year to December 31st. Spring coverage begins right away the next day on January 1st, and it goes through mid-May. I believe it's about May 19th. And then summer coverage begins the very next day and goes through August 15th. We have no gaps in our coverage. We allow any student who has spring coverage to sign up for summer coverage, even if you're taking a break from classes. Just know that you'll need to submit a form to us giving us permission to enroll and charge you for the term in which you're not enrolled in courses. As a semester-based program, the fee for fall is $697. Spring is also $697, and then summer, because it's a shorter number of weeks, is $461. As I mentioned, there is an additional fee for adding spouses and children onto the plan, and you can always email or check out our website with any questions you have about that process. As I mentioned, we're a really small office. There are 3 of us who run the campus care program, and we're all remote. So if you give us a call, you're probably going to get our voicemail. Leave a message and your phone number. We return those voicemails pretty quickly. We are also constantly in our email throughout the day, and we reply to emails as soon as possible. So the fastest way to hear back from one of us is to email us at cchealth@uic.edu, and we also have a contact us link on our website. And then, Teresa, do we have time for questions?
Yeah, we have quite a few, Angela, so maybe we'll look through the ones that are maybe not so particular to a situation, but kind of larger for everyone. Do you want me to navigate those, or do you want to
Yeah, that would be great. I
Okay.
saw someone mention that we have not increased our premiums, and that's correct. We only increase our premiums if we absolutely have to.
Someone asked if they already have a doctor at UIC, can they continue to see them through campus care?
If they're a family medicine physician, they can be your primary care provider. If you're seeing somebody through internal medicine or the primary care clinic, unfortunately you can't, and that has to do with the student health service fee. That only works through family medicine, and we kind of work in conjunction with them.
Copays for mental health services, or any info around that?
It's a $15 copay for in-person office visits. It is $0 copay for telehealth.
Someone asked about coverage for gender affirming surgeries and medications.
Okay, so we do provide coverage for that. There is a cap, and I don't have the exact dollar amount. You can look in our certificate of coverage. I believe it's somewhere around $119,000 is what we will cover. But we do provide care for gender affirming surgeries and medications.
Awesome. Someone asked if they can use campus primary care if they have outside insurance.
That's a really good question. Family medicine and UI Health are public entities. They accept a huge number of insurance plans. So just check with your insurance and make sure that they are in network prior to making an appointment with them.
Can we waive out of campus care even though our bill for the semester is not available?
So you can't waive out of campus care until you have been charged. It's how our system kind of operates. It needs to see that charge on your student tuition, and then that waiver will become available to you.
And I think there's some individual questions that maybe we can try to navigate those. Let's see. I use a medication that is not in the formulary. How do I get that?
You would still pick that up as long as it's not excluded. There are very few medications we exclude. We exclude like anything that's considered purely cosmetic or for fertility. So you would pick it up at the pharmacy. It just means that it would have a $40 copay.
And maybe we'll take two more. Someone may be needing immediate psychiatric care as soon as possible. Is there like an urgency around psychiatric care as there is around kind of emergency medicine in any way?
So if it's an absolute emergency, you should go to the ER. If it's not an ER worthy emergency, contact family medicine, ask to speak with the provider who's on call so that they can push a referral for you and get you care as soon as possible.
And I'll take two more here. Sorry, I know there's a lot, and I know Angela blocked off this time for us, and we're a little behind, but can we see a provider if we have, oh, sorry, that's not the right one. Can we cover prescriptions written by past out-of-network physicians, or does it have to be from a physician in the network?
We don't care who writes your prescription. From our standpoint, if you pick up the prescription at one of our pharmacies or at one of an out-of-network pharmacies, we're still going to cover it according to our formulary.
Do we need referrals for mental health services?
You do. You need a referral for any service that isn't emergency and doesn't happen at family medicine.
And then this is, I know folks, sorry, there's so many, but well, the last one we'll take so we can move on is if we have military insurance through TRICARE, do I still need to enroll?
You can waive. Any other insurance that's considered Affordable Care Act compliant, you can use to waive. So yes, if you have TRICARE, submit that waiver form.
Great. And I know there's more questions, and I know Angela left the information, contacting PC Health at uic.edu. And any last things, Angela, or maybe you saw something in the chat I didn't cover. I know I tried to get to as many as I could.
No, please feel free to reach out to us. My coworker Rosemary and I were available all day, and we're happy to answer questions and concerns as they come up.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Angela. I know that was a power-packed campus care, and you're always here with us to give us the most information and share that with our graduate students. So we appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks. All right, that's one of our resources, right? But we are also going to turn over to some more campus resources. So I'm going to reintroduce Jody Aguilar, who is going to talk a little bit about the various things, maybe some small things you need to know, big things you need to know, things you know to need to take care of yourself on campus. And we're going to hear later from some graduate students about how maybe they use these resources, but we want to make sure you have info about them. So I'm going to turn it over to Jody.
Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen. So I will be walking you through some of the graduate student resources that are available to you specifically through the grad college, but also through some of our partner departments that we organize different events with throughout the year. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for those that have stayed on this webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I may not be attentive as I present, but I will respond. So welcome again to UIC Graduate College. Our mission at the Graduate College is to be dedicated to a simple idea, bringing together superb students with outstanding research faculty in a diverse and stimulating or urban environment. The building that you see here is where the Graduate College is housed. We're on the 6th floor if you need to see anyone in particular. Some of the priorities that we center in the Graduate College is to support graduate students as they progress through their degrees, both financially and through professional development offerings. Second is to promote diversity of students in our graduate programs, as well as their retention and success through several pipeline programs and special support initiatives. The next is to serve and collaborate with faculty and staff that work with graduate students in academic departments to solve problems, track student progress, and clarify program requirements. And lastly, to celebrate the success of graduate student research scholars, teaching, and faculty mentoring. There are several things that we do throughout the year that I will kind of explain further on, but one of them would be the Graduate College Outstanding Thesis and Dissertation Award, the Image of Research competition, and the 3-minute thesis competition. One of my personal favorite programmings that we host is Graduate Student Appreciation Week, which usually happens in the spring semester. So spring 2025, look forward to that. It's a full week packed with different kinds of programming. Some of it is virtual, some of it is more conversation-based, but most of it is in person. And we have a lot of different kind of events to show how much we appreciate you and for, again, choosing UIC. To the left, you'll see part of an infographic that I created for our latest Grad Appreciation Week. The theme was to nurture rest, joy, and professional growth. The flyer on the right is an example of one of the programmings that we had, which was a Plant and Zen social and giveaway called Rooting for Each Other, where we just gathered graduate students and we made little succulents with inspiring notes to take home. And this is also during the time where like midterms and different papers are due. So it's also kind of a place for you to come and de-stress and not have to worry about all, the critical conversations that are happening and to make connections. Making friends in grad school is very difficult, especially as adults. There's another layer to our professionality. So yeah, something to look forward to. Next, the Graduate College has a series of awards and different opportunities for you to engage with your research, one of them being the Image of Research. So the Image of Research is an annual interdisciplinary exhibit competition organized by the Graduate College and University Library to showcase the breadth and diversity of research at UIC. Each year, students enrolled in a graduate or professional degree program at UIC are invited to submit an image they created, along with the brief preface of how this image relates to the students' overall research. Christy is actually in my program, so it was really wonderful to see someone in my program win the first prize. This prize also comes with a monetary incentive. So that's also a great way to kind of get yourself some additional research funds. There's different kind of categories and specific requirements for the image that will be posted sooner. I believe that this year, the Image of Research will be in the fall. So just keep a lookout on your email for that announcement. Next is your iCard. For those that don't know, the iCard is your official ID for the University of Illinois. Your iCard is required to access many services such as Dragon Dollars and Flame Fair, libraries, campus recreation centers, parking, computer lab printing, banking with your iCard, building access, and photocopying. When you're ready to get your iCard, make sure that you have a valid proof of identity with you and proceed to the ID center. Here is the phone and contact information for the center and the location of it as well. To the right is what your iCard will look like. It will have your UIN, and make sure to either memorize this or have your card with you when you're doing different kinds of paperwork on campus. Usually your UIN is something that is absolutely necessary throughout. And the next is the UPass. So previously we used to have a UPass CTA, which gives you the ability to use buses and trains, but now there is a UPass Plus program that encourages you to explore, commute, and discover the Chicagoland area by bus and train. So the good thing about this is that it's a combined unlimited access to CTA and Metros for student reduced fare program. I want to mention that this is also especially accommodating for folks that are commuting to UIC from suburb areas, something to consider because traffic is very, very intense during the semester. And you don't want the commute to affect, your presentation and your scholarship throughout the year. If you want to just opt in for the UPass itself, meaning buses and trains, it is $163 a semester for both fall and spring. If you'd like to opt into the UPass Plus, CTA Plus the Metro, it would be $349 per semester. For more information about that, you can visit this website, go.uic.edu/UPass+. When I'm done with the presentation, I'll be sure to add these links into the chat, so bear with me once I'm done. The next program we wanted to highlight was the Center for Advancement of Teaching and Excellence. So this organization is a hub for teaching resources and professional development opportunities for all UIC instructors. You can scan the QR code below on the bottom left if you'd like to learn more about what they offer, or visit their website, teaching.uic.edu. They offer a series of courses hosted by the grad college as well that will help you prepare yourself to be the most, I would say, accessible, the most informed, and the most confident instructor in whatever program that you are. Have been very helpful with editing CVs, with editing teaching statements, especially those that are going on the job market soon. So this is a great resource to do that. They also have different teaching certificates throughout the year that you might want to look forward to. Next is the Wellness Center. So the Wellness Center has a series of services and resources. One of the things that I love to highlight from the Wellness Center is their pop-up pantry. So, food scarcity is a very real thing. And I think this is a service that a lot of students aren't familiar with. So they have a pop-up pantry. The dates and times vary for fall, but you can email them for further information or visit go.uic.edu/pop-up pantry to see where their next one is. The flyer on the left is an example of some of the events that they do. So for example, they have a DIY book bag charm event. They make buttons, they do a lot of craft events, and I think it's just a really good place to meet new people and a break in between classes. The next would be the UIC Counseling Center. So they host a series of workshops and programming tailored to student needs, such as mind and body programs, single session appointments, virtual drop-in spaces, and crisis services. You can visit the following link for more information, as the single session appointments and the virtual drop-in spaces require you to sign in via your UIC information. The flyer on the left is an example of the mind and body programs that are pretty consistent throughout the semesters. Some of them are drop-ins, some of them are full 4-week sessions that require your commitment to show up weekly, not just for yourself, but for other people in the space as well. They have a managing your mood workshop, self-compassion workshop. You can scan this QR below. I'm not entirely sure if it is active as of now. If anything, you might see some of the more recent flyers, but here is their website here, counseling.uic.edu. Another one of our favorite events that is hosted by the grad college is 3MT, the 3-minute thesis competition. So the 3-minute thesis competition is a space where we gather folks or graduate students to present their research in 3 minutes. Now, this might seem a little intimidating, but I promise that we have a lot of workshops, a lot of info sessions to help you prepare for this event. The pictures on the left you'll see are some of the finalists on the top and the participants on the bottom. This is one of our biggest events. It is a full house each time, and it's a great way to develop your research presentation skills. It's one thing to talk about your research for an hour and a half, but it's another thing to condense your work in as little as 3 minutes. As you can see in the middle, these are our past winners from 2017 to 2023. Forgot to put the latest one. But the winners also move on to the Midwestern Association of Graduate Schools conference, where they also compete with other winners across different universities. So something to consider, which also takes place in the spring. So we made a little infographic of why you should visit the graduate college for. First would be graduate college forms, such as change of program, late registration, academic standing, and most importantly, graduation. The next would be a thesis submission, so a preliminary and thesis defense paperwork, thesis formatting. The following fellowships, stipends, awards, grants, and split waivers, information about internal and external funding competitions, UIC Global Grad Direct Tuition Fee Waiver eligibility, the Chicago Metropolitan Exchange Program, the 3-minute thesis, and also the International Teaching Assistant Program, Summer Research Opportunities Program, and Image of Research and Career and Writing Coaches. So this is a lot that we offer here, but just to keep in mind of the services. And at the end of this presentation, I'll also share a glimpse of the handbook where you can find each of these in that directory so you know who to reach out to for further questions. Why you shouldn't visit the grad college for. Admissions questions, transcripts or diploma arrivals, RA, TA, or GA waivers or assistantship payments, preliminary exam or thesis defense scheduling, that should be through your department, whether you are cleared for graduation, audit forms, assistantships, questions regarding immigration, visas, dispute a grade, campus care coverage. We just saw a campus care program with her information available. Tax advice, confusion, or questions about student accounts and bills. There isn't a person in the grad college that can speak toward all of these. So please be mindful when you're looking for who to speak to, that this isn't something the grad college can provide. The next is student recreation facility. For those of you that haven't been, we do have a 43-foot climbing wall, group fitness studios, a spin suite, boxing suite, a multi-activity court gymnasium, soccer, pickleball, cricket, badminton. For more information, you can visit their website to see how you can register for a class or how to use their services. And finally, the graduate handbook is now available. You can visit the graduate college website to download your copy. I will also be adding the PDF to the chat. This is your directory to any questions that you have throughout your program. This is edited on an annual basis, so please be sure to keep up to date for each new one.
All right, thank you, Jody, for going through all of those services. For folks to know, there's gyms on the west side and the east side, so check those out. Incredible facilities. They even let you have like camping gear to rent, which is really cool. I know some folks in the graduate college are into that, so I wish I could rent some extra camping gear. I always have to go buy it, so it's nice to have that access. So thanks, Jody. I know there's some questions in the chat. We're trying to get to those as we go along. I'm going to share screen again, and then I'm going to head over to sorry, we're running a little behind, but Annie and Rosie, thank you for being here. We're going to turn it over to you in just a second. So let me share. And Jody shared that we do have the handbook on the website, but also if you can do a screenshot of that really quickly to scan the graduate college handbook, we're also going to put the link in the chat as well. So take a minute and then you have access to a lot of the things. I know people are asking, where do I find this? Where do I find this? A lot of the information's in the graduate college handbook, which Jody has worked very hard on for the last couple of years. So make sure to check it out. All right, it's time, y'all. You're going to be spending time here. You're going to get to know these incredible leaders in the UIC libraries. And we're going to hear from Annie Armstrong, who's a professor, coordinator of teaching and learning services in Daily Library, and Rosie Haneke, associate professor of information services and research head librarian. So Annie and Rosie, thank you so much for being here, and take it away.
Thank you. Just bringing up my slides. Okay. How is that? Can everyone see the first slide? Yep, great. Okay, thank you for having us. My name is Annie Armstrong. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm a professor in the UIC library, and I'm a research and liaison librarian for the areas of psychology and education. And I'll tell you a little bit more about what that means in our presentation today. And Rosie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you. I'm Rosie Haneke, she, her. I am an associate professor and I work at the Library of the Health Sciences in Chicago, which is on the west side of campus. I'm the head of the Information Services Department, and I am also our systematic reviews librarian.
So I will begin by just sort of giving an overview of the library locations and our library services offered through our liaisons. And of course, I'll fill you in on what I mean by liaison, which is kind of a hard word to pronounce. But first, I just wanted to say that we work extensively with graduate students, and we think of you as our power users. So it's our pleasure to be here today and to give you some information so that you can get started with taking advantage of library tools and resources. We appreciate, in general, the dedication that graduate students bring to their research. And we're dedicated in turn to helping you explore library resources so that you can conduct your own scholarship and produce your own scholarship. So it's our goal to kind of work with you one-on-one and also offer you the tools for exploring research on your own. So we're also aware that people come to the library with different levels of experience with research, depending on where you went to undergrad or how recently you've been doing research. So we really try to meet you where you are and sort of take a customized approach to supporting you with your research. So let me begin by just outlining some of the physical spaces that we have on campus. We have 2 libraries in Chicago. The Richard J. Daley Library is on the East Campus, and that pretty much serves any discipline besides the health sciences. So on the West Campus, we have the Library of the Health Sciences located on Polk and Wood. All of this information is available through our library website. We'll include some links at the end just to help you navigate the site and identify some key links. So in the physical libraries, you'll find some print books, although I would say more and more we do provide electronic books. So most of our users are interested in searching for ebooks, whether those be entire books or chapters, as well as peer-reviewed journals and other articles, which are all electronically available. But I did want to note that you will find some physical materials. We also have at the Daley Library and the Health Sciences Library special collections and university archives if you're doing historical research, and many of those materials are still physical, although some are also digitized. You can check out books using your UIC iCard, so you don't need to have a separate library ID card. That's all you need to start checking out books from UIC. And you can also check out books from other libraries through our iShare catalog, which is Illinois libraries. And then, of course, beyond that, there's interlibrary loan. And Rosie will elaborate on that. In the libraries, you'll also, yes. Was there a question? Oh, sorry, I thought I heard something. Okay, so in the libraries, you will also find study spaces. So you are welcome to come and use the libraries to find a comfortable place to study. In the Daley Library, the first and second floors are collaborative and very social, but the third and fourth floors have quiet and silent study spaces. I would say the Library of the Health Sciences is generally like much more chill, and you'll find that most of the areas are conducive to either individual study, and there's also group study areas. We also have group study rooms that you can check out through our website. And I wanted to also point out a special resource, which is called the Digital Scholarship Hub, which is a service that provides technology, data, and individual consultations to encourage creative, innovative, and non-traditional research and development. So some of the things that they have, just to illustrate what that could provide, they have fabrication materials, computer lab, and also 3D printers. And they can work with you one-on-one. And they also will offer workshops throughout the semester. Okay, so in addition to just sort of exploring our website, I want you to know that you have an individual librarian assigned to your college or whichever discipline you're a part of. And a liaison basically is there to be a supporter of your research and also a partner. They're prepared to guide you in effective and efficient use of the research tools of your discipline. And that will look different for different people, depending on what your research goals are. But more concretely, or more specifically, some of the things we'll do is just start with a one-on-one research consultation, where we give you an overview of our research tools and also help you with developing a search strategy. Another thing we can do is get you started with using a citation management tool. So as a researcher, we want you to be able to gather and organize the wealth of research that you have at your fingertips. And so it's really helpful to have a system early on. So some of the tools that we can provide guidance in are RefWorks, Zotero, and EndNote, which you may have heard of. And if you haven't heard of them, that's fine. We're happy to tell you more and help you get started. So we also have some experts in the library. So your liaison can sort of be your first contact, your first point of contact, and then we can help put you in touch with other people as needed. So we have data management experts, experts in different areas of digital scholarship and copyright, and we're happy to sort of be your first line of contact. As far as identifying your liaison, one way you can do that is to go to the UIC library and click on guides. So G-U-I-D-E-S, guides. And we have an extensive collection of subject guides, and these have a few purposes. So I'm showing an example of one of these guides for the biological sciences. On that guide, you'll see the name of your point person, Kathy Lance, her email address so that you can easily get in touch with her. And then you can also explore the guide itself. So we have like over 600 different research databases. The point of these guides is to highlight by subject area, what are some of the best bets for getting started with research? So which databases might you use in addition to the more general collections that we have? So I would encourage each of you to go to the UIC library website. You can just Google UIC library. That's an easy way to find it, and click on guides and see if you can find the guide for your area, as well as the name of your librarian. And then you don't have to contact them right away, although you can. They'll be prepared to answer questions for you about the library, or set up a research consultation so that you can have a more in-depth conversation and get going with your research. So I'm going to turn it over to Rosie, and she's going to guide you through some of our extensive research collections and how to get started with doing research through the library website. And I'm sorry, I skipped a slide. You can also go to contact us on the UIC library website, where you can schedule a research appointment. And if you fill out the form for scheduling a research appointment, that request will be passed on to the librarian for your subject area or discipline. There's also a directory, so you could look up the liaison. You can go to the library directory and apply some filters, and that will help you identify the name of the liaison for your subject area, in addition to using the research guides.
Thank you. So as I mentioned, I work at the Library of the Health Sciences. Annie works at the Richard J. Daley Library on East Campus, and there are also library buildings in Peoria and Rockford. But we understand, as much as we would love for you to come and do your studying in our library buildings and check out the space, we have individual and group study spaces. Obviously, you do a lot of work from other locations from off campus. So we often get the question, what can I do from off campus in terms of accessing library resources? And the answer is you can do quite a lot. You can access, aside from obviously physical books and materials, you can access virtually everything through the library from any location. And the trick is to start at the library website. And that's going to be like your home base. So from the library website, as Annie mentioned, you can make an appointment to meet with a librarian. We do a lot of one-on-one meetings and small group meetings with students over Zoom. You can always come in and for that kind of appointment as well. You can get help with research questions over email, or you can use our chat with a librarian function. Next slide, please. This is what our library website looks like. And in addition to contact us, which is a link at the very top, I've circled the two areas that you're most likely going to use on our website. First, there's that blue menu bar that you can use to navigate to the major collections in the library. At the left is a link to databases. So we have, 400, 600 databases linked on this long alphabetical list. But you might know, if you're a nursing student, you might know that you want to use CINAHL. If you're in education, you might know that you're looking for ERIC. So if you know the name of the database that you want, you can click on that databases link and navigate right to it alphabetically. If you're looking to browse an individual journal, like Nature, you could use that journals link, or there's a tool called Browsine circled in that same menu. Journals will take you to our electronic and print access. It will tell you what coverage we have for any individual journal. And Browsine is an app that you can download to your device to sort of subscribe to journals. And if you want to read a particular journal on your phone or on your iPad when you're on the train or have some downtime, Browsine is great for that. So definitely, if you want to keep up with the journals in your field, I would check out Browsine. There's a link to the research guides, which Annie mentioned, as well as to PubMed. If you're in the health sciences or some of the, life sciences, you probably use PubMed pretty frequently. And we want you to use the link through the library website because it's a customized UIC address that will link you to our full text subscriptions, again, even when you're off campus. And then the catalog, the rightmost link you can use to find books and other physical materials. The main search box is great if you're just looking for a couple of articles, or if you have some keywords you want to do a search for books or articles on a particular topic and just want to get started, you can use that main search box as well. And then you'll always see, I cropped it out of this screenshot, I think, but you'll always see a chat with the librarian link in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. So you can click on that to get instant help through our chat service. Next slide, please. When it comes to finding full text of articles, the thing to remember is just, as I said, to use the library homepage as your home base in order to be routed through the proxies and our full text access. So in any database that you're in, you're going to be looking for a link that says find it at UIC. I've got a few examples here of what that might look like. Next slide. So if you do a search through that main search box, the main library search on our homepage for a topic, if you're looking at an article, this is what that result page is going to look like. If we have access to this article online, it will say, as I've circled here, available online. And then lower down on the page, you'll see a link to view it online. So I would just follow that link that says Springer Link Journals, and I would be able to download usually a PDF version of the article that way. So that's the main library search. If you go forward a slide, I think we'll see Google Scholar. Normally when we're in person, I would ask how many of you use Google Scholar. Usually the majority of hands go up. Google Scholar is a great tool. It's a free search engine. But again, I want you to get in the habit of using the library's link to Google Scholar because it's a custom UIC URL. So from the library homepage, you're going to go to databases, then G, find the link to Google Scholar. And I actually have this bookmarked in my favorites bar in my browser because, you know, I work from off campus quite often. And if I do a search for an article, the next slide will show you what that looks like. Thank you. So it's just a regular Google Scholar search I did for social determinants of health. On the right-hand side, it will link me to, sometimes I'll see a direct link to HTML or PDF full text, or I might see get full text at UIC. So again, I can click on that to search for all of the library's subscriptions to try and connect me to a particular article. Thank you. If you're searching PubMed, which is sort of our bread and butter in the health sciences, this is what that button's going to look like. And actually, you'll usually see this button in most of the databases. It'll look like this. So on the top, we have a link to Springer, which is the publisher. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. It depends on our coverage. That's the button that everyone in the world can see when they search PubMed. Right below it is that UIC button. And if you click on that, I think if you advance one more slide, yes, it'll take you back to this page through the library search to search all of our holdings, all of our subscriptions. And again, you can download this one full text online. But if we don't happen to have instant full text access to an article that you want, we can still get you almost anything you're looking for at no additional cost to you through a process called interlibrary loan. So this is where we get access from another library that does have a subscription to that journal. As you see, the link is on the bottom. So if this page didn't say available online, it would just say, I believe electronic access is not available or something like that. I would go to the bottom and click on that link for request via interlibrary loan. And then if you advance to the next slide, it'll show you what that looks like. It will automatically populate an article request form with the information for the article that you were just looking at. You submit that request and you'll get, usually within about 3 business days, often much faster, but I'm supposed to say 3 business days, you'll get a link in your email to download a PDF of the article. The link will be good for 30 days. And once you download the PDF, it's yours, you know, forever. So don't let the fact that we don't have something full text keep you from using it. You're getting into higher level graduate work. You know, you're no longer doing the kind of research where I'm just going to find the first couple articles that I can get through Google Scholar, and that's what I'm going to use. You need to make sure you're using the best evidence, journal or not. So it's good to know about interlibrary loan if you're in a field where you're using scholarly journal articles. You can also use it for books, I should add. You can use interlibrary loan for for most library materials. So this was a very, very fast speed overview of the library. We tried to just hit on what we think is most important for most of you, but please do use the librarians and use the library space and services while you're here. Again, the library website is your home base. I would recommend that you bookmark it, and anytime you need to find information, just go to that website to start. And then you can contact us to make an appointment, to use chat, to submit a question by email or phone. And we've put our names here. You can find Annie or I through the library directory that's under Contact Us. And
Wonderful.
sorry, just looking through the chat. I'll try to get to a couple of these in the chat, but I think that's it. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Annie and Rosie, for that. All of that information. Don't worry, we're saving this. You're going to have this for reference later because you're going to be like, I remember at orientation, they told me where to go. So thank you, Annie and Rosie, for all the information about UIC libraries. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Right. All right, y'all. So we're going to take it over to some more resources that we have in the Graduate College for you. Again, I'm on here. I introduced myself earlier as the Director of Grad Student Professional Career Development, and I'm going to introduce my amazing colleagues, Dr. Lindsay Marshall and Dr. Vincent Auditory, in the Graduate Student Support role. Really quickly, I want to show you this, right? This might be an experience we have in grad school. If you haven't checked out Jorge Cham's comics, check them out. It's going to relate possibly to some experiences you're going to have in grad school, right? There's these existential crises. What do I do? Who do I talk to? How do I deal with this? What do I do going forward? And as I was thinking about what we're doing in grad support services, I was like, yeah, this is kind of like when sometimes folks come to talk to us and see us. So you can check those out. We're here to support you and develop strategies and plans and networks to be successful in your professional and career development. And we empower you to think about your lifetime career decisions, not just when you're here at UIC, but also in the careers you have moving forward, right? And navigating those. So I'm actually going to turn it over to my amazing colleague, Dr. Lindsay Marshall, who's the Program Director, Graduate Writing Specialist, and Academic Advisor, to talk to you a little bit about what she does and what we do as a team in the Graduate College. Lindsay?
Thanks, Teresa. Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
We can hear you. Do you have
Great.
slides or should I leave this up?
I can share. This is
Okay.
great. So I'll move into sharing some of my slides. And then Teresa, if you don't mind just letting me know if there's anything you can't see or if the slides aren't showing up correctly, that would be great. It is great to see all of your names, if not faces, at this moment in the chat, and to see all of the great questions you're asking. Really thrilled to be here, especially with two of my dear colleagues and our wider team of colleagues to talk about some of the support services that the grad college can offer, no matter your level of degree, the program you're in. We are here to support and help you. And that is what I'm here to talk about today in my capacity as the writing specialist and academic advisor in the graduate college. I'm going to move into full screen. Teresa, can you see this okay? Excellent. Okay, so my name is Lindsay Marshall. I use she, her pronouns. And as Teresa mentioned, and as I will mention, I am the writing specialist and academic advisor in the grad college. So I want to start by discussing a persistent myth that surrounds graduate studies and graduate students in particular. Vin, Teresa, can you just give me a thumbs up if there's a slide up that says a persistent myth? Is that up? Ah, okay. So then let me move into a different share mode. I was worried that might happen, so I'm very glad I asked. Okay. So still in my title slide, I assume. Let me just not use
Now,
full.
persistent myth.
Great. Excellent. Thank you so much. So this is something that maybe you yourself have thought before you went into graduate school. This is something you may not feel at all, but let me tell you, it is definitely a myth that follows graduate students around no matter their level of study, and that is that graduate students have it all figured out. Right? You have already obtained a degree, a college degree. Maybe you've obtained several college degrees. Many of you have been working in jobs, careers for a long time. You have been successful. You are moving into graduate school. So you must have it all figured out, right? No problems, no complexities, no extra concerns. When in fact, the reality is that graduate students need and should have more support. Do undergraduates need support? Absolutely. But because we assume that graduate students have it all figured out, they are frequently left with the short end of the stick in terms of the support they receive, and the variety of supports that are available to graduate students. Graduate students absolutely need and should have more support. And that is the whole goal of the team that Teresa leads and that Vin and I are a part of. So in my capacity as the writing specialist and academic advisor, what do I do? As a writing specialist, I provide one-on-one writing assistance. I work with students on a range of academic writing. That could be, say, a paper for a course, a fellowship application, even job materials, as well as more personal kinds of writing, like being asked to write an email to your advisor that you're terrified to compose. I help with things like that too. And I try to cover a range of different writing concerns, from bigger level things like argument and organization to smaller level concerns like grammar and sentence structure. So I am not a magician, but I try to really help students as much as I can with a variety of their concerns and different genres that they might be asked to write during their time in graduate school. In my role as an academic advisor, I help students navigate academic and personal concerns. So that could be something like conflict management, that could be degree completion, how to hit the benchmarks of your programs, as well as financial, socio-emotional, mental health resources. I really try to link students to support services both on and off campus. And most importantly, I just try to be a listening ear and to hear what kinds of things graduate students might be concerned about and help them find the kind of support that they need. Here are a couple of important things I want you to remember before I turn it over to my dear friend and colleague, Vin Auditori. And one of the biggest pieces that I know it seems true, I know it seems obvious, but I want you to never forget that writing is hard and that grad school is hard and that it's super regular and absolutely reasonable for it to be hard. It's supposed to be hard or you wouldn't be doing it. So when it's feeling its worst, when you are feeling your worst about it, remember that it is hard across the board, and that while there is nothing magic that's going to make it stop being difficult, there are all sorts of habits you can build, ways you can approach writing and thinking about graduate school that will help to ease its difficulty. And that's kind of what our job as the support team in the grad college is here to do and be helpful with, is thinking about some of those habits, some of those resources, some of those strategies that are in place or that we can seek out to help ease that difficulty. And the other piece as well is that no one is naturally a writing person. So even if you are coming from another country, even if English is not the language you grew up using, even if you do speak English but a different dialect or use a different dialect, and even if you have had really bad experiences with writing, I would love to see, right, if this were in an actual classroom, how many of you hate writing or fear it or feel stressed out by it? No matter your language, no matter your dialect, no matter the good or bad experiences you've had with writing or with receiving feedback on your writing, you are already a better writer than you think you are. I promise that is the case. So again, here is my email address. If you want to reach out to me, I will stop share. Thank you so much for listening to this little piece of the presentation, and I'll be excited to hear from my colleagues.
All right, thank you so much. Watching the chat, Leslie, was beautiful because the things you say are so validating um, about this grad student experience, right? And on top of the amazing things that Dr. Marshall's sharing, I also want you all to think about, like, be proud of the seat that you're sitting in. You came here, right? You have incredible skills that you have in order to get to this graduate position that you're in order to go into your master's and PhD programs. And we're here also to help you like enhance that, right? And you're going to be prepared for a diverse career trajectory ahead of you in competitive positions. We're here to help you take advantage of the skills that you already have, the skills that you're developing in your programs, but also help you maybe hone some of those skills that are outside of that. Maybe it's a little extra writing support. Maybe it's some presentation support, some research communication, thinking about how do I talk in this interdisciplinary way about this research that's so specific, project management, managing information, writing, public speaking, analytical skills, etc., right? So we're here today to share some tips with you also about some things to think about as you are navigating this graduate career right now. And one of the things I'm going to tell you, having worked in graduate career and professional development for the last 20 years is like, learn the landscape, right? Today, we're talking a lot about the landscape of UIC, and I'm sure you know about the landscape of your discipline, or you wouldn't be here being a graduate student. But what is the landscape of academia, right? As a grad student, you're part of this industry now, and it's not enough just to be the expert in the subject area matter, but also to think about, you know, what's happening in academia overall, right? You have joined this as a graduate student here at UIC. And what are maybe some of the biggest challenges? What are some challenges facing professors, staff, leadership, other graduate students, right? And thinking about where higher education is going. Who's innovative? Where's the innovation happening? Right? Who's maybe a little bit more stagnant or not moving forward? And how is your field situated and how is your work situated in this landscape? I want to get over to Vin, who's going to have incredible things to share, but I want to just share a couple tips of some things that I think are helpful as you're kind of journeying into this part of your graduate program. I'd say start at the end. Where do you want to be? Jeremis did this incredible exercise at the very beginning where we were like, okay, I can envision this. This is how I want to, you know, go about my day. How do you see the end of your program? When is that going to be? And what do you have to do to get there, right? And not to stress you out, we're already giving you all this information today, but maybe this is something you can take on in the first couple months, getting organized, right? What are the completion dates, maybe for exams or big conferences that you want to have? How are you do you have the funding possible in order to reach those? By the way, I don't think we've shouted out to a email that goes out on Friday from Ben Williams and his amazing graduate assistant that give you a lot of resources on funding possibilities. So make sure to check your email. I know it seems old and outdated. We will also have other ways to communicate with you, but make sure to check those. And also, you are already accomplished. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. So make sure to start an achievements file. What's a committee you're sitting on? Oh, did you go volunteer over here? Oh, you joined the student organization and you're a leader here now. Make sure you're keeping kind of a file of any awards, achievements, things, because a couple years from now, when you're applying for things and you're trying to write for them, you might not remember that thing that you did in the first year of graduate school, right? So make sure to kind of keep track of those. I'm going to say this really quickly, right? I didn't know what I was doing when I entered graduate school and when I entered my PhD program. I thought, oh, I'm going to have that one mentor. They're going to explain everything, kind of how it was in, you know, my undergraduate career. But that is not how it works, right? We don't have one mentor that is going to give us all the answers. If you are and you're lucky, that's fantastic. But you need people to read your work. You need colleagues and other graduate students who are going to support you. Mentors like Dr. Marshall, Dr. Auditory, maybe myself, maybe other folks in the graduate college, maybe to give you advice on some professional development, writing advice, research communication, right? There's lots of different ways to have mentors and a lot of different people that can act as those mentors. So as you're thinking about going into this year, what are some different people that you can reach out to and you can connect with as you're building your mentor network? Start an individual development plan. I know we're throwing a lot at you today. I will also put the link in the chat. Having a plan is really important. I know you're just in the beginning. I know you're in these stages and there's all of this going on, but having a plan of where you want to be, how you want to do it, and helping navigate those conversations with your advisors and your mentors that are going to build, right? Here are some resources down here. I'm also going to drop those in the chat after I'm done. We have institutional memberships to the National Center for Faculty Development and Diversity, which have monthly webinars, writing workshops, and anybody who's a graduate student at UIC can join these. A graduate college pays for that in collaboration with other offices on campus, as well as a versatile PhD. Look at the story of somebody who maybe has the job that you want. What are they saying? What did they need to do along the way? There's a lot of stories on there of people in different careers. And then if you're in humanities and social science, really exploring Imagine PhD, it's a fantastic resource in my IDP if you're biomedical or STEM. I also recommend for STEM students to check out the Imagine PhD because there's a lot of jobs that maybe you didn't even think you wanted, right? Even as a STEM person, there's a lot of wonderful resources in Imagine PhD. So I know this is a lot, but I will post that for y'all. We also have links to those in the handbook and more information. All right, just want to let you know, check out the Graduate College website. We're going to be updating you all with workshops coming up this semester on our events page. We don't have those up yet, but we will. For planning for your professional development, industry and employers panel. If you eventually want a job in industry, we're going to talk to some folks about how they're hiring. We're going to have a workshop on letting things go, love letters, breakups, and other metaphors, exploring our relationship to work, and talking about presentation skills. So we have a lot of things, and Dr. Auditory is going to talk about some of the other workshops we have. I'm going to throw it over to him, and thank you for your time, y'all.
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Lindsay. I just want to introduce myself first. So my name is Vincent Auditory. You can call me Vin in the future. My pronouns are he and him. I want to introduce myself as somebody kind of new to the graduate college. This year, I am starting a new position, as you can see, in graduate communication and professional development advisor. Just previous to this year, for the past 7 years, I had been teaching 8 years. I had been teaching a class called GC 512, writing principles and practices of writing for graduate students. So that was those 2 courses, one for STEM PhD students and master's students, and the other for humanities and social sciences PhD and master's students. In my experience teaching those 2 courses, I've had an opportunity to work with students at UIC from across many disciplines. And so I am prepared as an instructor and as a writing advisor to work with you no matter what program you might be in. And so my new role here is kind of multi-faceted. My plan is to be able to do workshops that I think Teresa has a slide about, and that we'll kind of talk about. Yeah, okay. Maybe I'll do this and then go back to 3MT if that's okay. So my plan is to be somebody who's can kind of work with you in many different ways. So instead of teaching a course that was 15 weeks, and that was very labor intensive and time intensive, what we're planning to do is to kind of use some of the class material and develop workshops as well as new workshop material as well. And so I'll be planning to do that throughout the course of the semester. Much like Lindsay, I will plan to do one-on-one writing sessions with you or whatever it is that you'd like to work on, in addition to doing some of the 3MT coaching, which I'll come back to in just a moment. So our plan, if I can talk about it now, our plan is to have several workshops throughout the course of the semester. It looks like it will probably be every 2 weeks. And our first 3 here are up on the slide. So we're calling the series Getting Comfortable in Graduate School. And our first workshop will be on the 4th of September, where we're planning to do a kind of Q&A with incoming graduate students to get some of your feedback about what you expect from us, how we can help you. The course that I taught certainly took into account student evaluations and feedback, but I think part of what we want to do this year is to kind of start fresh and to listen to what you think you might want, and for us to figure out how we can address those wants and needs. So it's called Uncovering the Hidden Curriculum and a Q&A, and these are planned for 12 to 1:30. And then the next two, so I will be I think all three of us, Teresa, Lindsay, and I will be at that first one. But then the next two, I plan, I think, to be the facilitator for both of these. And so these first two, the 2 and 3 of the first three, I should say, right? But those that are more kind of content driven, will focus on reading practices for graduate school to try to help everybody cope with the extent to which you're going to be spending time reading, and to do your best at that. And then the second of these ones will be focused on writing. And so I have some ideas about how I will present this material to you, but hopefully in the first session, the first workshop, I will have a chance to hear from you what some of your concerns are, and how I can address students from across the campus. That's one of the kind of difficulties, or one of the challenges of workshops like these is, of course, there's graduate students from across the board. And so I try my best to address everybody's needs kind of more generically. But the hope is that in the last 30 minutes, so these workshops are planned for an hour and a half, but my hope is to have another 30 minutes afterwards, so from 1:30 to 2 o'clock, to address more kind of individual needs or kind of specific questions that students might still have that weren't yet covered in the larger workshop. So we have some plan, and as Teresa said, these events will come up on the website. We have a rough draft of what the calendar will look like. And so keep your eyes peeled for that, for those workshops that will continue throughout the course of the semester. And then we'll go back to the 3MT slide, I guess. Yeah. And so so for the fall, the plan is to have these workshops that I just described to you. In the spring, a lot of my attention will turn to the 3MT. So over the past, I think maybe 5 or 6 years, I've been involved with 3MT with Teresa and her graduate assistants, helping to judge the talks. But for this semester, for the spring, rather, for this academic year in the spring, I plan to be more involved as a coach as well. So in GC 512, the course that I would teach, we would do a lightning talk. So it was a 5-minute version, something like the 3MT. And I had an opportunity to coach students in all kinds of ways, to think about how do you present your research to a non-specialist audience. It was a kind of major piece of the course for me. And so I want to adapt what I had taught there and what I had learned from students, and to be more involved with the 3MT process. And so look forward to coaching sessions, look forward to information sessions about 3MT with myself, Teresa, and her graduate assistants, and get ready for that. It's something, obviously, as many of you are fresh, it's something to think about. You might not immediately want to become competitive, but in terms of getting involved with non-specialist audience and research communication, it's something that you should all start thinking about, and I'm here for you. And then the last slide here is a survey. So there's a graduate support team kind of form that I drew up the past couple of days in consultation with Teresa. There's just a few questions. But this is to help us all three to get prepared for that first workshop with all of you on the 4th of September. So there's a QR code here for you. There's also a link, and okay, so the link is already down there. Thank you, Ben, for that. So link's there, and this is, so whenever you have a moment, you could do it now, you can do it later. You have plenty of time to do it. I think it's open for a whole week. And I can change that too. But I'll be taking all of those answers in. We'll be processing all of those answers, and we'll be using your feedback to help guide us for that first workshop. So I think that's all the time that I have. Thanks for the time that you've given me. Again, this is a kind of new role for me, so I look forward to kind of growing into it and listening to all of you and figuring out how we can best support you. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Dr. Adetori, and we look forward to you all filling this out, letting us know what you need, what you're thinking about. Please check that out. All right, we're going to move on to a little more career resources we have for you. Look at everything that we have. We're so excited to have Carol Costin, the Assistant Director of UIC Career Services, here with us, and I'm going to turn it over to her. Welcome, Carol.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. So can I go ahead and screen share? Okay. Oh, okay. 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 So I'm glad to be here today. Again, my name is Carol. I'm from Career Services. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the resources that we can provide you in Career Services. So we do offer virtual, phone, and in-person appointments. All our appointments are on Handshake, which is our job board. We also offer walk-in appointments on, let's see, it's Wednesday, 12 to 2, and virtual walk-ins, which is a link on Handshake, again, that you can find from 2 to 4. Our office is actually in Student Services Building. It's at the corner of Harrison and Racine. So it's not too far away if you want to go over there. But as I said, you can do phone or the virtual sessions. In fact, most students do that now. We also offer a lot of virtual and in-person career development workshops. Those are both in-person and virtual. We do a lot of info sessions. So we have a lot of employers that come to UIC and want to recruit UIC graduate students. So definitely attend these different events, whether they're in person or if they're virtual. We offer all types of events. And you'll find all these events where you can register in advance if you like on Handshake. And I just want to mention that for all UIC students, you have access to our services for your lifetime. So it's, and let me just mention, we're the Career Services Center for the entire university, so we can meet with all students. There are more career centers, but we work with everyone. Okay, so these are some of the topics that we can discuss with you, or these are common ones: career and job exploration, resumes, cover letters, anything related to graduate school. If you are planning to apply to PhD programs or go on, we can help you with that as well. Always looking for a job, how to find a job, how to network, how to do informational interviews, LinkedIn, how to use LinkedIn, the grad school topics, Handshake, how to use the job board if you're having trouble navigating that, job search strategies, mock interviews, job fair prep if you want to practice getting ready for a fair, and salary negotiations. So those are some of the topics. Handshake. So maybe a lot of you have used Handshake before because a lot of universities now are using it as their job board. So what we recommend is use your UIC email to go ahead and register if you don't already have an account. Fill out your profile completely, because you will get recommendations based on how you're using Handshake. So what you put in your profile, what jobs you're applying for, that kind of thing. Upload a new resume, also make it public to the community or just to employers, whatever your preference is. But Handshake is a lot like LinkedIn because you can follow employers and set up alerts. You can email employers. You can even email alumni and students from other universities, which is kind of interesting if you want to use it for that purpose. So again, we have these different fairs and career development sessions and employer info sessions that are also on Handshake. And I would say those are really great networking opportunities because we have so many employers that set up these virtual info sessions. And so you can just go into one of those sessions, listen to it, get the names of contacts, ask them questions, reach out later after the event. So it's, I think, a great networking opportunity. And I would say that LinkedIn's or Handshake's very easy to use. You can just Google, how do I do something on Handshake, and you will find an article that explains it to you. So these are some of our upcoming events. We're having an alumni networking event on October 15th, 2 to 4. Most of our big events are in the Student Center East Illinois room. We're having the Fall Internship and Career Fair October 29th. That's from 11 to 4. We will have a prep session leading up to the fair. So it'll have LinkedIn headshots. We're going to have 2 photographers that can LinkedIn headshots. We'll do resume reviews. We'll do elevator pitch practice. We have invited employers to help with these types of activities as well. And we'll do a navigating career fair session during that time frame of 12 to 3. And then we'll do some standalone navigating a career fair sessions if you're unsure how to prepare for one of these fairs. And I should mention that we are doing a lot of fairs in the spring as well. We'll do a spring internship and career fair. We'll do another, we're kind of matching them to the seasons. We're going to do another one at the beginning, one after graduation. We're still looking for jobs. I don't really have to go into this, but I would just say, get your resume reviewed before the fair, because these days you want to tailor it to the types of job titles and opportunities you're applying for. You don't want it to be too generic or too general. And bring plenty, because there's no place to make copies once you get to the fair. And we always say just research employers before you go, because that you just make a better impression if you do that. Let's see. And these tips, I think some of these tips actually echo what you've already said. Figure out what your goals are, what your career goals are, because you want to start getting related experience while you're still in your program. You always start your job internship search early. It always takes a little longer than you expect. Peers, professors, employers, alumni, just use your UIC contacts. UIC Alumni Center has UIC Connected. So that is a place where you can go to maybe ask an alum, would you be my mentor? Can I connect with you? That kind of thing, have informational interviews and that kind of thing. Come to these events, take advantage of those. When you are looking for a job, try a variety of different methods. Just don't stay on a job board and just be sending emails. You got to do networking. You have to do informational interviewing. Maybe you try a targeted search where there's some employers or companies that you're really interested in, and you do that. I would say too, if you're in some professional organizations, a lot of times they'll have job boards. So I think that's a good place to maybe find jobs. I don't like Indeed or those really big job boards. I recommend LinkedIn, or else some of these more niche job boards that are specific to your area. So something like Idealist or NEO or usajobs.gov or something like that. Tailor your resume to each job description, because everyone is using applicant tracker systems, and they're screening to see how well your resume aligns with the job descriptions and the skills and competencies that these different companies are looking for specific jobs. So you definitely want to be tailoring resume. Focus on those transferable skills that they're looking for in your specific area. And also include your research, your capstone, any course projects, anything you do while you're in school. Add those things to your resume to show competencies. It doesn't have to be work or experience you did outside of the campus. It can be something you did in a course or just while you're in school. And again, the career services, this is our phone number. You can email us too if you have questions. You can make appointments on Handshake. Go to our website. We have a lot of good resources there as well if you're looking for resources. And 2 other websites I always like, Balance Career, the Muse. I think those have extra information if you're looking for a place to get more information on your job search. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any, or just reach out to me. This is my email. It's just ccostin@uic.edu. yeah, so thank you for having me today.
Wonderful.
Good
Thank
luck to everyone.
Thank you so much, Carol, for all of those things. I know we're on info overload today, but I'm sure you will be seeing Carol and the team at Career Services throughout your journey here at UIC, and know that they are incredible resources to not only help you with
Yes,
the things that
thank
you
you.
need, but to have conversations about your career direction. So thank you so much, Carol. Appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right. So I am excited to welcome Dr. Kelly Maganat, who's the Assistant Director of Advocacy Services, Campus Advocacy Network, and Women's Leadership Resource Center. Kelly, Dr. Maganat does wonderful work with CAN, and it's an incredible resource to just take note of, not only for yourself, but maybe possibly for a situation with a friend in the future, or colleague, or student. And Dr. Maganat's going to talk all about those things. So welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. I'm Kelly. I use she, her, and hers pronouns. I'm just putting a few things in the chat before I get started, and then I'll share my screen. You'll also get a copy of my slides. I wanted to start with a quick poll. And this poll is in a forum called Mentimeter. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. And if you click on this link, you're going to come to a what do you call it? Multiple choice question that asks if you're familiar with the 7 cultural understanding and social centers for cultural understanding and social change, which is also called our cultural centers. And I will share that screen in just a moment. I technically have run out as of this meeting of participants for my Mentimeter because we have a free account. So if you get kicked out, I apologize, but it told me that I would get through the presentations beforehand. See, a few folks have shared. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Looks like most folks have not heard of our cultural centers yet. Hopefully that'll change. Well, we'll talk about the cultural centers a little bit now, but then we'll talk about them a little bit more. Hopefully you'll see more as we move forward. So UIC is really lucky in that we have 7 cultural centers. I'm here from one, the Women's Leadership and Resource Center, which houses our survivor services for survivors of gender-based violence. We also, though, have 6 others. So I'm just going to run through them. I also put the link in the chat if you want to check them out. We have our Arab American Cultural Center, our Asian American Resource and Cultural Center, which you'll usually hear referred to as ARC, our Black Cultural Center, Disability Cultural Center, Gender and Sexuality Center, Latino Cultural Center, and then our center, the Women's Leadership and Resource Center. If you ever want to connect with any of them, you can also just Google CCUSC UIC, and it'll come right up where you can find our social media accounts, our website, ways to connect with us. So I do encourage you to get involved as you can. Then I have one more question for you for the poll. Not letting me change. Oh, there it goes. Okay. What sort of support do you think you would get at a women's center or another cultural center? What kind of things might come up? What kind of what kind of questions might you go to the center, or with what kind of questions might you bring to the centers? What kind of topics might we address, or issues might we address? And this is an open-ended question. It's totally anonymous. There's no way for me to see your responses, or me to know who is making a response. A lot is coming up. Folks are saying Title IX resources. So Title IX is the program that moves to an investigation for a survivor of gender-based violence on campus. How to facilitate accommodations. That's something that we do at CAN. It's also something the Disability Cultural Center helps with. Someone mentioned group support, health screenings and consultations, safe sex information. We do have some Plan B in our office that's available. We also always have condoms available as well. Cultural support, gender violence survivor support, connections, community belonging, support with discrimination, support finding and navigating gender-based healthcare. So a lot of folks are sharing things that we already do. So that's wonderful. It's like you have a sense of what kind of resources you can find from us, even if you might not be connected with us already. We do all of these things and more. All the centers are available to you. I always like to mention that, you know, they're a great place if your identity aligns, right? If you're a woman and you come to the Women's Center, that's a great thing to do. Also, we have a lot of allyship programs. So all the centers are available to you. They're all spaces of support. They're spaces for engagement around activism, engaged learning. You might want to learn more about a different topic, right? Maybe you want to learn more about Palestine right now. There's a ton of resources and information and programming where you can get involved with the Arab American Cultural Center. They have a show and tell where students come together and talk about different backgrounds and different countries that they're from. They bring kind of cultural artifacts, food, drinks. So there's a lot of ways to get involved as an ally, as well as someone who identifies with the different identities from the centers. I want to talk specifically about what you can get from the WLRC. So I'm going to share a little bit. I'm going to move to a new sharing screen. And I just want to talk about a couple of events we have coming up. We'll have a lot more. The best way to connect with us is on social media or on our listserv. I'm going to turn off the captions since they're on Zoom as well. A couple of things we do that are specific for graduate students. One is our Feminism Lunch Lecture Series. Graduate students often present their research at our series. They also attend, you know, it might be a topic you're interested in, or you just want to come and watch, but eventually maybe present your own work. We also have things specifically for writing. So we have a Write a WLRC program. We've had some writing workshops, panel discussions about the challenges of writing. And then we have programming also for student parents and pregnant students. I really encourage you, if you're pregnant or parenting, or you are at any point during your career, to come to our center. We have like places to connect with other pregnant and parenting students. We talk about accommodations and resources. There's a new childcare grant through our little Sparks program on campus that we can connect you with. You can get free diapers, wipes at the pop-up food pantry, and we can connect you with all those resources. We also have a lot of resources specifically for survivors and specifically around gender-based violence. So on the left, the flyers from last year, which is why the dates won't really make sense. But we have a healing group for survivors of gender-based violence called HEALS, Healing for Engagement, Action, and Leadership by Survivors. A lot of our participants are graduate students or professional students. We work with a lot of graduate student survivors who've maybe experienced harm in the past or might be experiencing it now. So that's a great space to come if you're interested in being with other survivors, you're interested in thinking about how we can activate change on campus. This middle one is really significant as well for graduate students, called our Don't Cancel Your Class program. This is a way to invite a CAN educator to your classroom. You can also invite us to your student org. Maybe you're part of a fraternity or sorority or a departmental organization, or you feel like your department has an issue that you want to address. So this would be developing a workshop. We develop it together. So it might be that you want to have a conversation around advocacy as in academia. You might want to talk about sexual harassment in academia. You might want to talk about healthy relationships or boundaries that you're dealing with, right? Graduate students often have the challenge of the fact that professors or faculty or instructors expect you to do a lot outside of your boundaries. So we have workshops around communicating boundaries, determining your own boundaries, who you go to for help, bystander intervention, racialized and sexual harassment or ableist harassment. So you're welcome to come to us and we would develop that workshop together, whether that's for within a class you're teaching or for you and a group you're part of. This event on the right, I'm really excited about. My colleague Isabel is putting together a film screenings it's going to be for queer women within the community, but I believe it's open to everyone. I'd have to check the specifics. The website hasn't been updated yet. But it's going to be one film per month centering queer women. The first one is going to be the film Bottoms, and that's going to be on Wednesday, September 11th from 1 to 3. So I hope you'll join us for that. A lot of our programming is virtual or has a hybrid option, but unfortunately, this is one where it's definitely in person, and we're located at Student Services Building. I also encourage you to connect with any of the Cultural Center's open houses. The flyer is still kind of being revised, but this is a list of all of our Cultural Center open houses. Ours is Tuesday, September 17th from 12 to 2. Basically, there'll be one per day, starting with the Arab American Cultural Center on Monday, September 9th. One per day for the next 2 weeks. I encourage you to come to these. There'll be great food. You'll get to connect with other students and staff. You'll find out about different ways we've been involved in activist projects, different advocacy services at each center, different events coming up. So please do stop by. And these, because they're open houses, there's not an expectation of coming like right on time. Like you might just stop by for 20 minutes between classes or when you're on campus. I did want to also talk more specifically about CAN, because that's my role, is to be our survivor advocate on campus. Our services are free and confidential, so we are a resource to you. We're a resource to your students or advisees if you're working with undergraduates or your peers. And what we do is we provide one-on-one, individual, private, confidential advising or advocacy services. And we do a lot around the campus too, right? So these workshops and trainings, we provide input on policy and advocate for better policies and resources on campus. But if you come to us as a survivor, we'll do a few things. So we're going to start by listening to your story, as much of it as you feel comfortable sharing. There's no expectation with us, so you tell us everything. We're going to help you develop a safety plan, and that is really based on what a survivor is asking for. So it might be that for your safety plan, you feel comfortable going to the police. You might not feel comfortable going to the police. We're never going to be the ones telling you what to do with that safety plan. Our job is really to make sure you have the support and resources and information to make the best decision for yourself. We also refer survivors to community and campus resources, whether that's mental health services, legal assistance. You have the option of connecting with an attorney on campus as a student. There's also food and housing resources that we can share. And then we'll inform you of your rights. So what are your rights in the workplace, in the classroom, at home? Part of this will be related, like some people mentioned, to Title IX, but it's also related to the laws that protect you in the state of Illinois. If you decide you want to or need to go through with a police report, a Title IX investigation on campus, if you're going to court, maybe you're getting an order of protection, which is the formal term for a restraining order, we can accompany you through that process and help you prepare for that process or process what happens. And we can also communicate with your academic or professional team if you need that. So one of the main things that you'll notice that we do that's maybe different than a community organization is we reach out to instructors or advisors, supervisors to request accommodations. Survivors might need to be out of the classroom. You might have to miss a meeting because you are going to court. You might be late on writing a paper because you're dealing with trauma. So one of the things we do is reach out on your behalf. And if you're an instructor, you might be getting some of those communications from us as well, reaching out on behalf of one of your students. If you're an ally, so this is especially true if you are teaching or you're a teaching assistant or research assistant, but also if it's just a friend or a family member who's going through violence, we can connect with you about what it means to support that person, how to handle a disclosure if you're a mandated reporter because it's happening on campus. And that communication with us remains confidential. So you're welcome to reach out to us anytime if you want to talk to someone about that. So just a couple of things of note. We work really intentionally with graduate students. We know you're often in a position to take a disclosure, especially teaching assistants. Often students feel really comfortable with their teaching assistants or might be struggling in the class and disclose something. But we also know that you might be experiencing violence, right? Hopefully not, but you might be experiencing violence with a partner or an ex or some other acquaintance. And we know at the same time you might experience violence on campus. You might have a professor who is violating your boundaries. That might not be in a sexual way, right? It might be that they're constantly calling you at 10 p.m. or expecting you to work more than 40 hours or more than the 20 hours you're supposed to as a teaching assistant. They might be acting inappropriately in the classroom, right? Using harmful language, harassing another student. And then finally, we know that you are in a precarious position where you're relying on these folks around you for jobs. You're relying on them to get from one semester to the next, to graduate, to get a letter of recommendation. So our work with graduate student survivors is really intentional about how we support and protect you and protect your professional work as well as your safety and reputation. Just a couple of clarifications as I wrap up. We're again free and confidential. We are here for all community members, so please feel comfortable coming to us regardless of your gender and sexuality. Both as a survivor, we know that men and non-binary folks do experience high rates of violence, high rates of interpersonal violence and harassment, high rates of stalking. And also, regardless of your identity on campus, if you are in a staff role, if you're in an employee role at some point and you need support, we're also here for you in that way. We're also available to you beyond the support that you can get from Title IX. So Title IX, if you're familiar with it, is really specific to harm that happens between folks on campus, other students, faculty, and staff, or that's happening on the campus, like geographically. We're here for you no matter what. So we can help you build a safety plan, provide resources, and support you, whether or not the harm is happening now, if it happened in the past. Also, if it is something that happened with someone off campus, we can still work with you. And like I mentioned, we're not here to tell you what to do. So if something's happening, maybe you're not even defining it as gender-based violence yet. Maybe it's just kind of raising some red flags. That's a great time to start working with us. You don't need to wait until you're going to leave a relationship. You don't need to wait until you want to file a police report. We're here for those smaller things as well. I see in the chat, someone asked about legal referrals. We do have some legal referrals in the community. We also often are connecting students with student legal services. They can provide you with free legal consultations when you're enrolled as a student. I also have the syllabus statement that I recommend. If you're ever teaching, I encourage you to include this in your syllabus. This QR code will take you right to a Google Doc where you can just copy and paste it into your syllabus. Hopefully your faculty are also sharing that with you. You can also recommend including us on your Blackboard page or talking about us in class. And you'll get a copy of these slides also, so you'll have that QR code. So, a good way to think about us and describe us is something happened. You're not quite sure if it was gender-based violence. You don't know how to define it. It made you feel unsafe, unwelcome. You're not quite sure what you want to do next. Maybe you want to file a report. Maybe you don't feel comfortable. Maybe you're not certain. That's a really good time for that confidential advocacy appointment with CAN. You can connect with us in lots of ways. Really, anytime you connect with CAN, you're going to be coming to me because I'm a primary advocate. We're a super small team. You can call my office line. You can email me. We also have a texting line, so you can text or call my work cell. That's probably the fastest way to connect with me because we do have a staggered work schedule. You can fill out our online form, our Ask an Advocate form. You can visit us in person. And you can also connect with us around our outreach services. You can email my colleague, Isabel Carmichael. You can email CAN at UIC if you want to request a training, or you can fill out our online form. And you also can connect with our center more broadly by emailing us, calling us, or stopping by, or joining our newsletter, or following us on social media is another great way to stay connected. The one thing I do like to just mention is that we are not a 24-hour service. We're a super small team. Like I said, I'm our primary advocate. So we are really not a line of defense where you get an immediate response. So we can set up an appointment around 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. But if you want to talk to someone immediately, we recommend a crisis hotline. So we're never like leaving you hanging and you're waiting to get a response from us. There is a 24-hour crisis hotline from the counseling center. You can always also reach out to the Chicago Rape Crisis Hotline or the Illinois Domestic Violence Hotline. But then if you want to work with us as well, I'll get back to you within 24 hours, usually quicker, but it just isn't going to be that immediate response. And I'm going to look and see the questions that are coming up in the chat. You're also welcome to unmute if you have questions as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. I know I don't think the participants can't speak, but I know that they have messages in the chat that we can leg at. But thank you so much for the information, Dr. Magana, from the Campus Advocacy Network and all the cultural centers. I really encourage you all to visit the centers and also just take note of CAN. You may think, oh, I don't really need this right now, but you never know when you will, right? In terms of a referral or for yourself. And so just to make sure to have that information. So thank you. I echo Jelena's comment. This is so informative. Thank you. So thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Thanks and welcome to UIC.
All right, so we're going to head over to our panel now. If you're a grad student panelist, if you can show video. I guess that's how we'll spotlight it, is we'll speak this way. I'm sure our support will figure out, but we'll go for it. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but I am going to throw it over to our graduate student panel, and I believe we're calling it Real Talk, right? You're hearing about who these folks are and what their experiences are in grad school. Sometimes this is the favorite thing, right, that folks come to grad student orientation for. So I'm going to throw it over to Amelia Marie Alstead from Disability Human Development, and then y'all can introduce yourselves. Go ahead, Amelia Marie. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amelia Marie. I am a first year PhD, going in my second year. I just finished my first year PhD student in disability studies, and I use they and she pronouns.
Blessings.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Welcome everybody. My name is Blessings Chisunka. I also go into my second year PhD, biomedical health informatics under the School of Applied Health Sciences. I'm happy to meet all of you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth, or Liz. I'm going into my second year of my Museum and Exhibition Studies Master's, hopefully finishing up and moving on to my PhD. I'm really excited to meet you guys too. I hope you guys are excited to be here.
Clayton Halper. I'm about to start my third year in the chemistry PhD program, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Kayla, she, her pronouns. I'm entering my third year in my doctoral program in public health, specializing in community health sciences. Nice to see everyone.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paul. I use he, him, él pronouns. I am a PhD candidate in the history department, and I'm happy to be here. And I hope you take advantage of this opportunity to just ask away whatever questions you have.
And, hi, everyone. My name is Jay Teamer. I am a third year in the pharmaceutical science department, concentrating in pharmaceutics and drug delivery. And yeah, I go by him pronouns, and welcome to UIC.
Thank you, panelists. We have such a breadth, right? Like if your program isn't represented, it's okay. You're going to have someone at least in your kind of general area, whether it's STEM, humanities, social science, engineering, whatever, what have you. So the panelists are going to be talking to you a little bit about their thoughts and general advice on their experiences as graduate students. First, we're going to talk about courses, research, networking, communication, mentorship, self-advocacy, and how kind of navigate those things in graduate school. So I'm going to let whoever wants to go first take it away.
I guess I could get started if people don't mind. One of the things that I wanted to share with everyone was the fact that you need to be intentional about everything that you do in grad school, right? It can save you time, it can save you money. And by being intentional, I mean like pick courses that you'll be able to use, write essays and articles that you're going to be able to use in the future, right? And so if you're intentionally about your actions right now, your time at during grad school is going to fly by, and everything that you would have done would have been part of a portfolio you would build up to present yourself to the business world. And so be intentional.
I could share something next if that's fine with everyone. If you're in a STEM program, one thing I've learned in the last couple of years is that people in STEM are very happy to share their research. So if you're trying to network or learn about someone's research, they will generally take the time to tell you all about what they do.
I can go next. One thing I'll say is that it's very important to find the best way that you can be organized, and that can change over years. So I often think about how in high school, I was waking up at 6 a.m., being there for 7 hours. And, I didn't have anything scheduled on a calendar. I just knew I had this after school at the end of the day. Now, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist to me, just because as you get older, life starts to life, and you have a lot of other things just in the background tabs that you're thinking about. So whatever way is best for you to be able to get organized, try to find that sooner rather than later. For me, an example would be in the beginning of the semester, I put down all of my assignments on like an Excel form, what date it's due, how many days away, something like that, so that I can keep track of, okay, I need to be paying attention to this assignment, or this is due, this is when I turned it in, etc. And that was actually an idea that I found on TikTok. So there's a lot of different ways that you can play around and figure out what's going to be the best way for you as you move through your program.
And
Yeah,
kind
I
of
think I can
piggybacking
go
off
next
of,
too.
oh,
You can
sorry.
go first.
So kind of piggybacking off of what Paul was saying about being intentional and Kayla is saying about organizing. I agree with both statements. I think that's kind of the best way to go about being able to navigate and differentiate between your coursework, your research life, as well as like your personal life. So I know for me, it might seem like a little bit of like overkill, but I calendar block everything. Even like waking up in the morning, like when to eat, like going for walks after eating, as well as like when to kind of like remind myself to stop working. And it does seem to be like maybe like a little bit of overkill, but I think for me at least it's really helpful in the sense that you're already going to be thinking so much about like your research project or the coursework going on. And so just kind of having like that itinerary and not having to think about what you're going to do throughout the day, it's just going to help you kind of like get everything done, as well as remain organized and have that separation between your coursework and schoolwork and stuff, as well as your personal life.
Yeah, kind of going off the like being intentional about what you're doing in the classes you're taking. Also, just I would say be mindful of what you can handle. You don't have to be going at 100 constantly, 24/7. Take something that's maybe not 100%, I have to do this. This is a requirement. I need this to graduate. Take something that's going to be interesting to you, that's almost a break, because you're going to need time to breathe. It's intense. Sometimes your research can be intense. I was a biochem undergrad, and so I was constantly stressed, and I was going at 124/7, and I got burnt out so fast. So just, take something that's interesting to you. You're not married to your department necessarily. Not every class you take, not every job you take has to be, part of your department. My department kind of notoriously doesn't offer a lot of like interdepartmental jobs, so I had to look outside, but you're totally allowed to do that. There's no rule that says you have to stay in your department 24/7. So I would say, take something interesting, have a little fun while you're at it, because otherwise you're going to be miserable, and that's not fun for anybody, and it's not really worth it in the end.
Yeah, I agree with Liz in some respects. Like, I think also everything that you're doing, even the things that you're taking just for fun, all add up to something for you in retrospect. So I saw a question from Kennedy come in. Has anybody transitioned from a totally different field? I fall into that. I come from a background in higher education student affairs, where I worked in college admin, and now I'm doing disability studies and mostly artwork, and like art and cultural development, and focusing on like population. And that's a totally different. I went from social sciences to now it's really strongly humanities. And I would say throw yourself into the uncertainty of that. Like whatever you thought that you were going to come in with for grad school, it's going to change. That's part of the learning process. And part of the learning process is also taking the knowledge that you have from your previous degrees and your previous experiences and being just like, maybe I should use the writing center this time around. So like we have a wonderful writing center here on campus. And while I'd say that it's not so great for some things for graduate students in particular, using it for things like grammar review or development of your work, explaining it to an undergraduate student can be so helpful because you're just like, oh, what isn't making sense here? Because if you're not understanding it, are my audiences going to understand it? And also things like the Disability Resource Center. I did not take advantage of disability accommodations until I was way late in my undergraduate career. And I changed that for my master's and now my PhD to where it's gotten faster and faster. We have a wonderful Disability Resource Center here. You deserve to be accommodated and to thrive in graduate school. So please make an appointment with them early if you are somebody that has accommodations or you need to get that established. If you're someone that's considering that you might need accommodations, utilize that health insurance. Like get your appointments in. Go to the dentist. Maybe this is the first time that you've had health insurance in a while. Please utilize it. It's important to prioritize yourself, your physical body needs, and your mental needs while you're in graduate school. So that's what I'd say. But everything adds up. So have fun in graduate school. We are very privileged and lucky to learn for a living, in my opinion, for graduate school. Like it's hard, but we're lucky to be able to do this.
Yeah, so just to add up, I would also to share with you that you need to expand your horizon in terms of the professors you work with, in your research interests and the courses you take. UIC is very flexible, or you might be mandated to complete some core courses within your program, but feel free. Sometimes you can get a course in a different department which you feel align with your research topic, for example. So that's something which maybe I came to realize a bit later. But so you can have maybe a research advisor from a different department or complete a different department. So don't confine yourself to what is being offered within your department. You can always expand beyond what is within your department based on your research interests, your goals. And thank you.
I love, oh my gosh, that's like gold, gold, gold if y'all are feeling that. I know some of you started to talk about resources. I wonder if we could talk a little bit about that. Like, what are some things that you've used? I noticed I saw a question about navigating towards like exams, kind of how to prepare, how to get ready, expectations of what we have to get ready for. So any of that, of maybe some resources or planning. I know we talked a little bit about planning, but anything that y'all want to comment on that?
I think that above anything else, we need to take advantage of all the resources the university has available to us. Depending upon what you want to do, there's something for you. If it's not from the graduate college, from one of the departments or the smaller colleges. So take the time to actually find out what resources are available. I would point you to CATE, the Center for Advancement of Teaching Excellence. And I'm pretty sure you're already familiar with the workshops for the new TA orientation, but they offer a CERL certification. They offer so many different things that can help you navigate not only your place, your time as a TA, but also as a student. So I would like to plug in Kate.
Yeah, so also piggybacking off of those resources, or the talk about resources, in terms of specifically for your research, I think one of the best resources that we have here are going to be our librarians. I know for me, I kind of jumped a little bit into my PhD. It was related to what I was doing in my master's, but not specific. And my master's wasn't really research oriented. It was more business kind of. And so I had to jump back into this like flow of doing research and finding articles and finding references. And it's extremely overwhelming if you don't know, what database that you should be looking in. If you're just typing things in Google, Google Scholar or whatever, you're gonna get thousands and thousands of articles. And so one of the best resources for me has been reaching out to our librarians. I think there's different ones depending on that are connected to different departments. But reaching out to librarians, they're gonna help you be able to streamline, come up with like different strings, and get like email reminders for things that are gonna be, articles that are gonna be recently published, specifically for the project that you're working on. And I've used them for projects that I've been working on for coursework as well as my own thesis project. So that's a really really valuable resource.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you. To succeed in your both academic life and the personal life, you need to be healthy. So another resource worth mentioning the UIC healthcare system. So automatically, as soon after you register, you automatically be enrolled in campus care. So to ensure you have reading a healthy life. I mean, especially for those who are coming with families, probably like a spouse or children can be enrolled, of course, at a fee, but that's a resource worth looking into. And also the safety, we have UIC police, so you have to be safe as well. So in case something of an emergency comes in, if you're not safe or you're harmed somewhere, obviously you'll be distracted from your studies. So UIC police, one of the safety nets available on the campus 24/7. Yeah, thank you.
Earlier, when we were talking with university resources like the librarians and such, beyond the official capacity, like once you join a research group, you're going to have your professor, your PI, and the other fellow graduate students that are in your group who may be a year or two above you. Those people are also excellent to turn to because they've gone through the same things that you have just a year or two before, and they may be able to recommend what resources were helpful for them. And they can just help you out. It takes a village to raise a grad student, and oftentimes your research group can kind of be with that.
And one thing I will definitely piggyback on what Paul was saying about the CATE resources, and someone actually asked in the chat, I believe, whether the CERTO certification, would you suggest going for it? I definitely say yes. Me and Paul were both in classes together for the Foundations of College Instruction certificate, and they actually sent me my certificate not too long ago, so I'm very happy about that. But they were excellent classes if you're at all interested in teaching as a career, as a graduate career after you graduate with your degree, or if you do any sort of trainings, or you're going to be a TA as part of, any assistantship that you have. It's a really great resource. You end up walking away with things that you can use later for applications like teaching statements, teaching portfolio. We had to actually come up with a syllabus for a class that we would plan, lesson plans, things like that. So it's a very practical and useful course series, I would say. And also, for me, it counted as my elective credits that I also needed for my degree. So as someone else was mentioning, to make sure that you have classes that, you're going to enjoy, not just, super hard ones that you might have to take for your degree requirements. That was definitely what the 3-class series was for me. And I think other people would really benefit and really enjoy it.
I think another thing, take advantage of the fact that we're very fortunate to be kind of positioned at a large school with a lot of partnerships in a large city. Take advantage of kind of what Chicago has to offer. I don't live in Chicago. I live out in the suburbs, so I wasn't like fully aware of kind of everything that the university had. But the university partners with a ton of institutions, a ton of workplaces. Take advantage of that. That's how I've been able to, through their partnership with the Field Museum, I've been able to get employed at the Field Museum. So just take advantage of that. there's a lot of different organizations that are not necessarily UIC affiliated, but totally interested in working with you.
Yeah, I have to say so much about the city of Chicago. Somebody asked like where people live. Wherever you decide to live in the city, it's really easy, in my opinion, to get to UIC, whether you have a car, whether you take only public transit. I generally take public transit to school during the school year, and there's a great deal through your UPass, which you will have to pick up and opt in, opt out of. Having basically unlimited rides during that period of time for $163. It's slightly different for medical students and it's slightly longer. But use that and use those things. And then they also recently added a Metra program to it. So if you decided to live farther out in the suburbs, it's also going to be much more financially accessible for you to take the same Metra in to school and things like that. It's very possible to get around the city and to go anywhere that you like. This is where I'm transitioning a little bit into like talking about the community. The community is so cool. Thanks, Liz, for talking about the community. Whatever you're interested in, regardless if it's a social interest or a research interest, you can find it here in Chicago. There are so many things going on here all of the time. You're going to have to choose what you're doing. When we're talking about work-life balance, I really want to tell you that you should take the time for yourself. I know it seems like a lot when you're just like, I have so much to do. If you don't take the time for yourself, it's just going to feel that much more heavy. So for me, I am a huge theater person. So I go to Chicago Dramatists shows or like Tuesdays at 9, or I took a playwriting class last semester, and it has something to do with my research interests, but it's also like just for fun. It's very uplifting for me. And I think a lot for my PhD program, which for me has made me more critical in general. It doesn't just stay in the PhD, it's bled out into other parts of my life. So I've contrasted that with taking classes in other areas off campus, like dancing, dance classes, or I started doing aerial hoop. You can't focus on anything but what your body is doing in a hoop when you're up there, which takes care of the thinking, and it's a break and it's fun. So whatever is fun for you, there's plenty of board game groups here. I'd also like to mention that there are like COVID cautious groups here in Chicago that are really great. Because I'm in the field of disability studies. So anything that you're interested in is something that you can find here, and make the time for that. Block out your schedule, and also be honest with yourself about when you're actually studying and when you're actually doing stuff. Because regardless of what schedule that I've planned out for myself, if I'm not working on research at 9 a.m. and doing my homework at 9 a.m., stop forcing yourself to do that. Reschedule it to when you're actually going to work on it, and take your personal time for other parts of the day. Yeah.
I think that's a good transition as we're kind of closing up the panel to think about what, Amelia Marie's talking about in terms of like, how do you take care of yourself, right? I saw questions about work-life balance, or what do you do, right, in terms of fun. So, what are the ways that you focus on your own wellness? What are some things that you've used for support? How have you found your sense of belonging here at UIC? So any of those things that folks want to answer in terms of kind of maintaining self and wellness in graduate school and taking care of yourself to extend the conversation.
Yeah, I can. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Okay, I can start with that. Specifically about I see a lot of comments about managing a full-time job and being in grad school. And so for my master's program, I was also working full-time, and that was during the pandemic. And then for my first year, 2 years of my PhD program, I was working part-time freelance, and then also volunteering part-time at a nonprofit. And just to be honest and to like be real, there's only so much balancing that you can do. And it comes to a certain point where you really just have to start prioritizing things in your life. And that might mean making sacrifices, um, or, cutting back on certain things. And I know for me, at least, I was working my freelance job because I really like to travel, and I'm really into fashion, and fashion's expensive and traveling's expensive. And so, for me, I kind of was spending so much time um, working on my research and everything, and working, and I just didn't have enough time in the day. And so I just kind of had to have the realization that there are just going to be certain things that I need to like cut back on, and maybe rework the way that I find joy in certain things. So instead of like going out and buying so many clothes, I've really been into like more of like thrifting or like altering like my clothes. And so there's just certain kind of push and pull that you're going to potentially experience. But from someone that has worked full time and has done the grad life, it's extremely hard. And if you can avoid it, I would say try to avoid it. Or if you can go part time, um, you know, potentially go part time. But yeah, it's rough. Um, and yes, some sacrifices might have to be made, but you can kind of rework the way that you think about those sacrifices, and they might not seem so like intense.
Yeah, so
Uh,
I work full-time right now during my PhD program, and I'm sort of in a unique and very fortunate situation because a lot of the work that I do is very applicable to the research that I'm doing. So my degree is in like public health and community health, and that's what I do for my job as well. And also the person that I work under, my boss, is very familiar with this program at UIC and works with some of the people that are in my department at UIC. So it's a little bit easier for me because I try to find so many ways that I can integrate what I'm doing at work to what I'm doing for like class assignments and stuff like that. Any sort of information that I can use that crosses over, I try to integrate that as much as I can. And even outside of that, I do a lot of other things just around the city in general, as far as other organizations and stuff that I'm a part of. And that stuff, it takes up a lot of time. And so that again is why what everyone is saying is so great, that you have to make time to do the things that you want to do, but you also have to make time to be able to do nothing, like absolutely nothing, and be able to not feel bad about that. Like sometimes it helps to take a step back and actually like maybe even write down, like I've had to write down before, like all of the things that I do, like just throughout the week, throughout the month. And when you step outside of yourself for a second and just think, these are a lot of things for anybody to be able to do. And you do them all the time. So you being able to just sit on the couch for a while and watch Netflix or YouTube or something like that is more needed than it feels like. You're going to feel like, I should be doing this right now. I'm supposed to be reading this. You're an adult and you're a graduate student. You're very smart. You already know that if there's something that you really, really need to be doing and get done right now, you would be doing it. This time that you have right now to be able to just chill and decompress is very, very needed. And I still struggle with that like all the time. I'm struggling with it right now. So, and if you have other people around you, like your family or your partner, friends or something like that, tell them to tell you to make that time to rest. Encourage them to encourage you, because sometimes that is what it takes. Sometimes we don't believe when it's coming from ourselves, but you'll believe it when it's coming from someone else. So I'm telling you right now, so that it's coming from someone else, that you need that time to be able to just like do absolutely nothing.
I wanted to speak to Kennedy's and Margaret's point, if I may, for just a moment. And I transitioned from a retail career where I was managing multi-million-dollar stores and overseeing projects that were statewide to undergrad at the age of 36. So it was a big shift for me to switch from what I had known all my life to just start over and follow what I wanted to follow. And that was, to become a historian and to become a professor, to become a teacher of some kind. But that transition was was quite difficult for me, not physically or environmentally. It was more in my mind. I didn't think I could survive or thrive in an academic setting. I had not written an essay in 18 plus years. And so I had, real concerns about how I would be able to survive in this setting. And luckily, I overcame a lot of those fears. Imposter syndrome, it's real. You need to be aware of it, right? If you haven't heard about it, if you feel like you don't belong, that's an imposter syndrome, right? And you're probably going to experience this in the first 2 years, because you're going to enter a classroom with graduate students that are 2, 3, 4 years ahead of you. And so their knowledge base is going to be more intense and greater than yours. But you're here for a reason, right? You made the choice to come here, and the UIC community recognized that you are good enough and that you are actually an excellent candidate to be part of our community. So you should really honor that, right? Honor it for yourself, honor it for your peers. And the best way to just overcome things like this, I think for me, was engaging with people outside of my field, like Kayla. Okay, these settings where the graduate college courses offer, it's a setting for people from all different types of fields. And some of the best advice I ever got was from my peers in these settings, and not from necessarily the people in my own department. So you're here, you're going to be great. Just got to grind through it. And after your first 2 years, you probably figure out everything you need to figure out. And if not, I'm sure you can tap into some of the answers through the graduate college or your own departments.
And on that note, I love that. Moving forward, maybe we can go back to just going and we had an alphabetical order like we did in the beginning, and like a last closing comment, a real quick one, like a sentence of something to remember. Amelia Marie, do you want to start? Sorry.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Amelia Marie. I use they and she pronouns, and I'm a second year in the PhD in Disability Studies program. And I want to say that all skills are learnable. And we're exceptionally lucky to learn for a living while in graduate school. Forgive yourself when things aren't going quite right. Take breaks and ask for what you need early and often. People can't help you unless they know that they need to help you. We are not mind readers, unfortunately.
Blessings.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, once again, blessings, Sisunka. He's, him, that's my pronouns. Yeah. So just as advice, UIC is a very culturally diverse community, not just cultural side, even in terms of disciplines, nationality. So embracing the diversity, learn from other people, learn from other departments, disciplines, cultures. By the end of your graduate studies, there's a lot more to gain than to lose. Thank you.
Liz.
Yeah, I think biggest thing I can say is slow down a little bit and like find an escape, find something that you can schedule out in your time that's like, I'm not doing anything related to school. I'm just gonna relax and do something for me, and just kind of slow down with that and advocate for yourself, advocate for what you need, advocate for, your own mental state sometimes. If you're gonna get stressed out, you're gonna get bogged down, advocate for yourself, find a way to kind of get around that and look for people who are willing to help you because they're everywhere.
Clayton?
Yeah, it's kind of piggybacking on what was said. Like, these are going to be the next 2, 4, 6 years of your life. We're in it for the long haul, so don't overwork yourself and don't burn yourself out. That's probably the most important thing I would say.
Kayla.
Yeah, I'll just say, don't be afraid to ask what you think is a stupid question, because somebody probably has that same question as you. And that it's also okay if you don't want to ask it in the moment. Make sure you get back to it just for your own sanity. People say, oh, the worst they can say is no. And people can say a lot worse things. But if you get the answer that you need, sometimes it is worth it. And also, people were asking about the like Excel sheet that I was using to get organized. I can send folks that, or like provide it so they can send to you like this template that I was using.
Thanks, Kayla. Maybe we'll have a workshop. I'll do it. And we have Paul.
Build a community, build a community that supports you, build a community that acknowledges you, build a community that can also, let you know when you're in the wrong. And so build this, I guess it goes back to what I said first, is be intentional. Surround yourself with people who are going to lift you and help. At the same time, you're gonna help lift them. So build a good community for yourself, however you define that.
And Jay.
Yeah, so once again, welcome to UIC, everyone. I'm wishing you the best of luck on your grad journey. And if I had to leave you with one message, it would be that you are worth so much more than your academic output. And being a grad student is only a small portion of who you are, and who you will be. So that's my last advice.
Do you all have amazing, incredible colleagues to look to, or what? Thank you so much. Show some love in the chat for the graduate student panel. I know there would be roaring applause if we were in a room together. Thank you so much, Amelia Marie, Blessings, Liz, Clayton, Kayla, Paul, and Jay for this incredible advice. And we hope you have a wonderful semester, and I hope to see you around campus. So thanks, y'all. All right, I'm going to turn it over to the Graduate Employees Organization. Thank you for your patience. I know we're almost done, y'all. We have one more presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to Casey Woods and Joe Parziali, who are going to talk to you about the Graduate Employees Organization.
Hi, thanks, Teresa. Is there, I can't turn my video on. Is there any way I can do that? Awesome.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. And Joe, are you able to start yours okay as well?
Mine is disabled. Start.
I'm also wondering, am I able to share my screen? Is that okay for our presentation? Cool. Okay, great. Awesome. So I should be able to get this started. So yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to UIC. We are members of GEO, which is the Graduate Employee Organization at UIC. This is local 6297 of IFT AFT, which is the Illinois Federation of Teachers, and the parent union is the American Federation of Teachers. And that is all part of the AFL-CIO. So yeah, really excited to just like it should take about like 10-15 minutes or so. We'll tell you a little bit about the union. I'll tell you about myself. My name's Casey. I use any pronouns. I'm a second year in the PhD program in the sociology department. So last year I was in your guys' shoes, and then I got plugged into the union. And yeah, so now I'm the organizing chair. So yeah, and I'll go ahead and pass it to Joe to introduce himself as well.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Joe. I use he, him pronouns, and I am entering my 4th year in the history department.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Yeah, so we'll go quickly through some info here. We should talk about like, why do we as grad workers need a union? We'll talk about what does the union do, how to get involved, what's in our contract, stuff like that. So yeah, you might be wondering, why do we as grad workers need a union? We are a union that represents TAs, GAs, and RAs now. So in general, we don't get paid a lot to do that work, right? Our wages are far below the cost of living right now. The minimum that's in our contract is $24,000, about $24,000. And the MIT living wage calculator puts a living wage in Chicago at $49,000, right? So we need a union definitely to fight for a living wage. And that is like our biggest campaign right now is to fight for that living wage. Other things that we're currently fighting for are a better healthcare. Right now, we have a limited health benefit plan, which is called Campus Care. It was a health benefit plan that was designed for undergrads that we got incorporated into, but it's not really health insurance. So there are some things that just like doesn't cover, and it can be pretty limited in terms of usage. And then there's also, in general, along with any kind of work, right, there's going to be unsafe working conditions. And whether this is the stuff that you're dealing with in lab that could be like physically dangerous, we want to make sure you have the, the trainings to deal with it in a safe way. But it could also be something like a tense relationship with you and your PI, or some kind of, anywhere where there's going to be a power differential between you and, like other faculty in the department or anywhere else. We want to make sure that you have a dignified workplace, right? So this happens because UIC depends on devaluing our labor, paying us as little as possible, while making sure that we work as much as possible. And this kind of happens through division and hierarchy. Up until recently, RAs were excluded from the union. So we recently ran a campaign to include RAs in the bargaining unit, bringing us up to about 2,500 people in our bargaining unit. And then there's a bunch of other things that we want to make sure we have like a across both campuses minimum on things like pay and class size and percentage of appointments and stuff like that, where usually departments are setting the last word on that kind of thing. So yeah, so how are we going to fight for this living wage, right? What do we actually do? So the union does contract bargaining. This is the like legal document that sets our minimum wages, raises, the workload, the hours, your class size, policies around evaluation and discipline, your benefits, leaves, and holidays, right? This is the thing that we go to the table and negotiate with the university about. And then there's the grievance process. This is the way in which we kind of enforce the contract. It makes sure that departments all across both campuses are sticking to at least what's in the contract, right? And this kind of just ensures due process. And you want to start the formal grievance process whenever you think there's some kind of contract violation, right? And then organizing is something that we do alongside both contract bargaining and the grievance process. Organizing can look like a lot of different things. You can also do it, separately outside of contract bargaining or agreements. It doesn't have to include those, but like one thing that you might have seen before, maybe people have participated in before, is like a strike or a picket, right? That's a kind of organizing that goes alongside contract bargaining to get the administration to come to the table and kind of like concede to some of our demands, right? And organizing really just means building collective power to solve issues through direct action. And that can look like a bunch of different things, like writing and circulating a petition. It can look like political education, organizing a department meeting to talk about an issue that's common to all of your coworkers. It can be staging a group visit to the target, like a department head, and much more, right? And the goal of organizing basically is to build lasting structures of power down to the department level. So we can talk a little bit quickly about the structure of the union. It's made of steering committee, organizing committee, stewards, and then during bargaining years, we also have bargaining committees. The steering committee is 9 annually elected positions, which includes 2 co-presidents, treasurer, secretary, grievance chair, chief steward, organizing chair, outreach chair, and communications chair. We actually just had a vacancy on the steering committee, so we will be running an election soon. You'll get word about that in your email when we are fielding like nominations for that position. I'm the organizing chair, which means I kind of like make sure that organizing committee is running smoothly. This leads, OC leads organizing campaigns like RA unionization and the International Workers Campaign that we recently just kicked off. And then stewards are kind of like the department representatives of the union, and they kind of get the word out about the union. And these are the people that you go to in your department when something's going wrong, right? And it's highly likely that we are looking for one for your department. So if you want to, join and, become a steward, or at least just like learn more about what it means to be a steward, we'll have information at the end on how to do that, right? And then bargaining committees. Right now we have 2 currently elected bargaining committees. One is for the RA bargaining process, which we're currently at the table negotiating with the administration to include RAs in the bargaining unit. I'm on that committee. And then we also have a full contract bargaining committee, which will negotiate our contract every time it expires. And it expires next in August of 2025, 1 year from now. So that committee is already preparing kind of like the survey and the proposals that they're gonna bring. Yeah. And then let's talk quickly about membership. Being a member of GEO is, it means paying dues, which is 2.2% automatically deducted from each paycheck, which comes out to just under $60. And then, GEO is a member-run union. This means that all events are planned and put on by members like you. It kind of, the dues go into paying our staff, our office space and supplies, printing, a legal defense of members, helping us get through that, formal grievance process, right? If we need any kind of like legal advice. It supplies with our materials for any events. It also builds up our strike fund, right? And then, if you ever have any questions about our budget at all at any time, definitely email our treasurer, Emily. She's really great. She'll answer any questions you have. And then I'll just say quickly, it's really, the union is really what you make of it, right? You can be as involved as you want, and you can certainly, sign a membership card and then never plug back in. But the union is, functioning at its best when members are active and participating in things. So one of the ways you can find out how to get involved in the union is opening the weekly digest, which is an email that will come to your inbox that will kind of like advertise like the things that are coming up in union life, and it will also have report backs on events that you missed as well. So you can attend those membership meetings. I would mark your calendar for September 19th at 6 p.m. That's a Thursday. That'll be our first general membership meeting, and you'll get more information as it gets closer to that date. You're welcome to like submit proposals if you think there's things like the union needs to be focusing on at membership meetings like that. I highly recommend attending virtual bargaining sessions, which are currently going on with administration about the RAs. Participate in actions, come to a rally, become a steward, join a committee. We're currently looking for people for the communications committee, which helps us with social media, internal communications, and external communications. Just in general, become a leader of the union, whether that's an elected position or just kind of like a community leader in your department. We're also looking for people to write for the weekly digest if you're interested more in the comm side instead of like the talking to member side. And I'll just pass it on to Joe to tell us about what our rights are as GEO members.
Hi, everyone. Actually, before I do that, Kareem was asking in the chat about can he have a link to sign up? So I know we have a QR code at the end, but Casey, if you have a link you can drop in the chat, maybe we can do that as well. So just to go over a few of the things, a few of the protections in our contract. So one of the things is sick days and leave. You get 5 sick days and 1 personal day, and then also 6 weeks of parental leave. This is all paid leave. It's there for you to use. We get a subsidized parking rate. We don't pay the full rate. In terms of healthcare, we have, you'll see 2 fees. We get some fee waivers as GEO members. We're fighting for more, but you get 1 health service fee and a campus care fee. And the health service fee covers things like the wellness center, the counseling center, pharmacy services, vision and dental, and then campus care covers some of your more basic medical needs. Currently, the campus care fee is $280 a semester. Used to be a lot higher. So again, we're fighting for some of those things to some of those fees to be reduced in the future. in terms of appointments, this is a new protection in the contract that was won at the bargaining table in 2022. You must receive a letter 45 days in advance of your first workday. That's part of the conditions of employment. And if you're if your course is canceled within those 45 days, you are entitled to compensation. So if that happens to you, please reach out. Please let us know. Then evaluation and discipline. So all of the evaluation processes within your department must be made clear in advance. Say in the event of like a negative evaluation, we have the right to appeal that. And we also have Weingarten rights. So this comes from a labor board case from the 70s. It is a federally mandated right that if you are called to a disciplinary hearing, or you're called to some kind of administrative hearing that might lead to discipline, you have a right to a union representative to sit in on that meeting and advocate on your behalf. All trainings are paid trainings. Your appointment level is based on the hours it takes to perform all job responsibilities. So many of you as GAs and TAs, you'll probably have something like a 0.5 FTE, that's full-time equivalent. And what that means is, so a regular work week is 40 hours. You should be spending about 20 hours and no more on average on your TA and GA duties. If you're finding that it's in excess of that, then please let us know. And the full contract is on our website. And then political rights. The union will step in to protect you if you feel you are being retaliated against for engaging in any political activity. I think this is especially relevant now with the protest movement that we've seen crop up over the last few months. You can't have reappointment threatened. They can't threaten to not renew your contract. And as union members, as workers, we have a right to use university facilities and to meet and organize in public spaces. And to use university channels, although we prefer to communicate over personal email. And with that, so here is the QR code to sign up. So please take a chance to do that, and we'll also take questions. We have told 1 or 2 minutes more for that. We also have listed here our emails if you want to get in touch with us.
All right. Well, if there's any particular one question you want to answer real quick, or if y'all want to kind of stay in the chat, I saw a lot of those in there. We'll have that open to be able to answer questions. Or how's that sound, Casey and Joe? Or
I highly recommend, just like shoot one of us an email if you have questions that are not being answered right now. Specifically, like I saw one about like the parking and something about like how do you get the certain fee for campus care. Send us an email if you have trouble with any of those. If your numbers don't match what's in the slides, send us an email so that we can like take a look at your specific case. Yeah, and then someone says, does the Graduate Student Council work in tandem with the union? I don't think so. I haven't seen a representative from the Graduate Student Council, so I'm not entirely sure about that, or if that was talked about earlier in the
Some folks are part of both, right? Like some
part of
folks
both. Okay.
leaders in grad student council, but are also GEO members. So there might be an overlap, but I don't know in terms of leadership, maybe if there's committees or things that happen together all the time, right? Or sometimes there has been historically, it just depends.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, thank you for that. Highly recommend, joining. I'll say again, like I was in your guys' position last year and then I got involved in the union. It's been a real source of community for me, just to like know that a group of other graduate students, not only in my department, but like, all across both campuses, like have my back and are ready to fight for me, basically. So yeah, again, our emails are in the chat. And, if you have any issues with any of the links that I've thrown in the chat, you can visit our website, which is uicgeo.org. All of the links are on there, including our full contract. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I believe. So yeah, I hope to see you guys around. And yeah, if you have any questions at all, please send us an email.
Yeah, and also I saw Richard had a question in the chat about fee reimbursement, so I'm going to answer that in the chat.
Perfect. Thanks
and
so
address it to
much.
everyone.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you, Casey and Joe, for all the info. GEO will also be at the picnic I'm about to put up right now, the grad student picnic happening next week. So if you want to have meet up with some GEO folks over there, you can see them there in person or contact them via email and the links that they shared. So here's the scan for next week's picnic. We've been mentioning it throughout the orientation. We hope y'all can stop by. If not, there will be many events happening to create community and connect with folks, but we have free food, food trucks coming, cupcakes, tacos, games, music, all sorts of stuff. It's going to be a fun time next week. So go ahead and sign up for that. If you can't get this scan link, if you go to the Grad College website, the link is on there. All right, for closing, we thank you so much for everybody. You're the champions that have stuck around a little bit over, so we appreciate you. This is our closing Padlet. Jody, I'm going to throw it over to you to mention this.
Hello, everyone. So I'll be going ahead and pasting the link in the comments, in chat, for you to join the Padlet. Gonna go ahead and give you a few seconds to scan the QR code if you need that.
So this is just our little closing, like what, how did it go? How do you feel now, right? Do you feel different than when you started? Are you taking anything away? If there's any questions that you have or who you looking forward to connecting with, and go ahead and click on the button in the Padlet to respond. I'm going to stop share and then we're going to see how we feel. Go ahead, Jody, if you want to share. Lots of information. Yeah. We overloaded you. Sorry. Ready for grad school now. All this stuff to hold, right? I'm feeling better. That's wonderful. Overwhelmed with info. Well, know that there is going to be we will be posting these. You can come back to them. We will have the slides for you. You'll have this soon that you can kind of go back to if you're feeling overwhelmed, but we're so glad you came. Joe, do you see anything else? The Green Martian's back.
A lot of excitement.
I saw something about having a more solid grasp. I'm feeling empowered. Yay, that's great to hear. Great to start grad school. Lots of resources, lots of information. Wonderful. Well, I think that is going to be, unless you see anything else, Jody, you want to mention? No, we're good. Well, thank you all for sharing with us today. I'm gonna do our little last one that we have. So thank you so much to everybody for attending the new graduate student orientation. We are here at the Graduate College if you need us. Thank you to my amazing graduate students, Jody Aguila and Jarvis Mosley, to Shannon Redden, who did everything to get our webinar going, to all of our panelists, to all of our presenters, and to the graduate college staff that was behind the scenes answering all of your questions, and to our deans who are leading our graduate college. So thank you everybody for coming. We hope to see you next week at the picnic. And if you have any questions, we're here. Come visit us, 6th floor University Hall. We look forward to seeing you, and have a wonderful, wonderful first year.